Mute, unmute. Hello, everybody. Can anybody hear me out there? It's time for another Kings and Generals stream. Let's actually switch to the scene. Right here. We're playing Ghost of Tsushima, which just came out and was the rough topic of the recent Kings and Generals episode. I'm Devin, by the way, in the corner. Also in the call are the masterminds behind Kings and Generals. Would you like to make yourself known?
Not really. I'm trying to stay out of the public eye. My name is Ilkin, and I am basically all historical mistakes in the videos are because of me.
Hey guys, I'm Nolan, and all graphical mistakes belongs to me.
Okay. Which mistakes shall I be responsible for? I'll take the rest if they're all on the table. I have no idea whether the game is going to be like way too loud, so people are going to have to just spam in the chat like how it is, and we'll try and adjust it on the fly. Also, I'm pretty sure I just left the game running for the last like half an hour while I was trying to set the audio up. There's probably a cutscene before this that I didn't see, but we're here now. And whatever happens if you just leave the game running, you start standing on the beach.
Start, right?
We are here. You might be able to like see it. If I exit the title screen and start a new game, we'll see what that cutscene actually was. I heard something through my headphones while I wasn't wearing them. Audio problems, it's all pretty good. Someone says do a video on Sengoku Jidai. Good idea. New game? Yes. Okay, that was easy enough.
Because the first game video is really beautiful.
Well, let's take a look. We are only streaming in 720 because we're using remote play and a really janky setup to make this happen, basically.
Yeah, we'll improve it if we decide that we'll play more PS4 games, right?
Medium. What language do people want? Do you want disgusting dubbed or patrician subbed? Vote in the chat.
I think that you should go with English subs because the game was basically shot in English.
So it's lip synced to English.
Yes, it's lip synced in English. Please play on as a second, I think.
Okay, we're going subtitled in English. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
People asking for hard in the comments. You probably don't want it to be on hard. We want to see what happens after the first like 5 minutes, really. So let's have it as easy as possible.
I played it on moderate and it wasn't that difficult, to be honest, but maybe if deeper you go it becomes more difficult, I'm not sure.
We're going to find out. Well, in my audio the game's like way louder than you guys talking, so people are going to have to say in the chat if I should turn it down. I don't know how it sounds on your end because it's all messed up, the whole audio system. People are still voting. I think the delay's too big. They're still voting for subs and dubs.
Fighting to slow the invasion.
Yeah, we are behind like by 5 seconds, I think.
I die for my people.
Is it on the good latency setup? Because you can get it pretty much real time. I'm actually dying in real life, but that's fine.
Tradition.
So this cutscene is basically what the video recently was talking about, where the 80 samurai go out to fight. I mean, the Kings and Generals version of this was much higher quality, obviously, but this is pretty much the same thing.
We are samurai.
They are the samurai. Yeah, it was like 80 of them versus an unlimited number of Mongol invaders, but they went for it. No spoilers as to what happened.
Yeah, it didn't
Suspect
end
is
well.
about to tell us what happened. But was it actually at night? Where is our resident historian? We were supposed to have a resident historian to pick this thing apart.
So let me tell you what happened. Basically, because I'm stupid, I made a mistake with the time zones. For some reason, I decided that he's in Mountain time zone and he's in Pacific.
I see.
Which means that it's not 2 hour difference, but 3 hours difference.
Send your finest warrior to face me.
Which means that he will be here in like 15 minutes because I just wake him up. So, yeah.
Okay, good. We're going to drag someone out of bed to tell us how accurate this game actually is.
Yeah, he's more an expert on the Mongols and not on the Japanese, but Still, he researched the invasion of Japan,
Descendant of the legendary
so he
Yoshinobu
will
Adachi.
probably be able to tell us more about what happened outside of our video, obviously.
Okay.
If you haven't watched our video, guys, you should, because it's fairly good and it discusses the historical side of the game.
Well, looks like the duel didn't happen. I actually can't hear anything. So if I'm not responding to what Ilkin and Nerlin are saying, that's why. The game's really loud in comparison to them. It might just be.
Can you hear me?
I can tell you're saying something.
I'm not saying anything important,
Music's
but
super loud and stuff. And it looks like we're actually doing something. Okay, so there was gameplay before I was. I obviously before got through this without actually pressing any buttons. Well, let's try that again. I'm just not going to press anything.
That's what they call
You
it.
can get to the
gamer
next
mode, right?
phase. Oh, we actually are supposed to do something. This reminds me of Dynasty Warriors. There we go. Right, we killed 3 of them. That'll do, boys. Let's go back home.
It's such a beautiful game, by the way.
It's all looking pretty good. I feel like those Mongols were wearing too much armor for the first wave. I feel like we should be seeing their pure trash, right? Because they sent forward all the sacrificial, slave soldiers to do the first invasion.
I'm not a big expert on the armor, but it seems that it's mostly hide and leather, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know, I saw some bejeweled armor back there.
Okay, so some...
I'm outraged. Okay, this is where we were before, okay? It wasn't too far.
Even if it cost us our
So
lives.
we just sort of somehow won by the looks of things. It looked like we left most of them alive, but we're here. We've just sort of gone past the first wave. Let's see what's happening on the other side of the first wave.
Men, we must hunt down the
We've
Mongol
sort of
leader.
somehow settled their ships on fire. I feel like the cutscene didn't portray us winning, but we've managed to get somewhere.
It's important for the game to progress, right?
I guess if we just died, I guess it can't be completely historically accurate when we just die here. Maybe something else will happen in the game. Looks like
The
if I
only
press
game-
square it kills them.
The only game that does it good is the Shadow of Mordor. Have you played that?
Yes. That was the first game I had on PS4, back in the olden days.
So when you die, you basically, your enemy levels up and then becomes your
Oh, yeah.
nemesis, I mean. Words are difficult. Which adds a layer to the game.
There we go. Yeah, I heard that you said something. I did hear that you said something. I didn't hear what it
decrease the
was.
sound of. You should really decrease the sound of the game, you know.
I can hear lots of very loud screaming sounds, and your voice is behind it somewhere. But I'm going to say
Do
it
you want
again.
me to film too?
I'm pretty sure this armor here is inaccurate. A resident historian is going to get here and prove me right. This is not an accurate portrayal of first wave Mongol invasion soldiers. They're like a dodge or a block. I feel like it should
Yeah,
pop up on the screen.
somebody in chat is asking if there is a record of lower quality Japanese blades snapping on Mongol armor. So there is an ongoing discussion regarding the quality of the katana, basically. If you want to know more, I guess we will make a video about that. But in short, current historical consensus is that it was kind of overblown, the quality of katana, and indeed it tended to break on higher quality armor.
But these aren't actually katanas we're using, technically, right? These are an earlier sword design.
Again, I'm not an expert.
Well, I am. I've decided I'm an expert. I don't think
Okay.
these are katanas, technically. Although the game might portray them as being katanas, because it's sort of a fantasy take. So the game isn't necessarily trying to be realistic. We're just going to complain about it anyway.
Yeah.
Or I am. I'm
So-
enjoying complaining about it.
Okay, somebody's asking you to do some inappropriate things on camera.
Yeah.
You want?
Sure. Sure.
No,
$50
don't.
donation. It's cheap. It's cheap.
So somebody says that what is not based on historical facts is pure fantasy for kids. The thing is, it's basically impossible to make a historical game.
Are we about to get into history isn't historical territory?
No, but for instance, what's considered historical game? For instance, like Total War games, right?
I would debate their historiosity very much.
Okay.
That,
See, even you do.
they're not even close to like warfare being portrayed historically.
No, but I mean in terms of let's say geography and starting positions, right?
Yeah, that's true. Someone says
So
tell
it's-
Devon he's bald in the chat. No, I am on
Are
the
you-
camera with hair. So
No,
I don't know.
the bald one is me. It's not Devin.
Yeah,
you
that's
guys
right.
are confusing.
Get it
yourselves.
right.
And I'm not on camera, so please. And I'm really sensitive about it, so talk more about it, maybe. I don't know.
Someone says katanas weren't made until 1392. So there you go. Maybe I wasn't making it all up all along.
Yeah, maybe it's me making
Because
stuff
this is
up.
set in 1200 and something, right? Don't know the actual year.
60, right?
The Mongols speak Japanese?
Some of them do apparently.
Don't know about that. Don't know about that.
But that dude looks like a Mongol in terms of the way Mongols are portrayed in the popular media. He's like somebody from that TV show Marco Polo.
I learned. I know your language.
Well, I don't know.
Tradition. your
He's
belief,
speaking in English, so that
which
makes it very
villages to
confusing.
tame and-
Why? You don't like when foreigners speak English?
How dare they?
I'll ask
I don't
you.
know. I feel like maybe
Samurai.
they should have different English accents or something. If it is going to be
That's
dubbed in
actually-
English.
That's actually something that's discussed in the narration community, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I have a couple of friends who are who narrate audiobooks, and there are constant discussion if they should use accents for different cultures, etc., or is it offensive?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to actually be any particular accent. You just have to like map them in some way to imply that the characters in the scene are experiencing that they're speaking in different accents, and they might not completely understand each other.
So somebody is asking if there was a lingua franca in this era. I don't think so. I think that areas around China were probably speaking Chinese, at least New Chinese, because there was trade relations, especially Korea, Vietnam, etc.
There was the written similarities, right? So like Japanese could sort of read Chinese, they just couldn't speak it. So there was
Yeah.
a sort of lingua franca thing going on there, in that you could, if you had a Chinese translator, you could use that to translate into all sorts of other things, including Japanese. Because wasn't that how the original Portuguese people were able to like have diplomatic contact with Japan? It's because they had Chinese people in their crew, and there was enough of a link for them to communicate, something like that.
I don't think that the languages were similar, but I guess they were.
But like only
common
similar
lingua
when
franca.
written down or something. Like a Japanese person could vaguely work out what Chinese was trying to say in characters. I mean, I might be making this up. This is my vague memory of something or
It's
other.
fine. It's fine.
Professional
We're just
historian.
we're just gamers. We are just playing games. It's all will be fine.
Just playing games. Just complaining about the game. So it seems like we died, but we are still alive.
How did I get here?
And how,
Again,
how did
if
we
you-
get here? I don't
If
know.
you have died, that would be an extremely short game. So let's not die.
I presume something else will now happen. Let's see.
Someone worked hard to keep me alive.
Somebody saved me. Mysterious. Well, we're gonna have to go kill the rest of them. We only killed like 20 of them.
Supplies.
I don't know how
Yeah,
many there
20,000
were.
more to go.
There must have been thousands, so presumably they're just still down there. Claims we need to keep moving. So we'll just stroll into town, I guess.
Mongols.
Oh, the Mongols are right there. Well, let's just get in there anyway, I guess. Okay, we're not jumping. Oh, right. Been playing too much Assassin's Creed. I'm like, why aren't we jumping off this cliff? Okay, fine.
Don't.
I guess full damage is a thing in real life,
Someone
if
saved
you
me.
want.
Hit me back here. Maybe they have my sword.
Hernando Malinche notes that the message from Kublai to Japan was written in Chinese. Yeah, I remember that from our video on the Japanese invasion by Mongols. Indeed, it was written in Chinese. So that's what I said. There was at least some people in Japan who spoke Chinese.
My armor.
Some stuff.
Someone was sharpening their blade.
Let's pick it up. No, I got distracted. Distracted by the whetstone. Oh, here it is. Yes, it's doing the old shiny thing trick, which is good for people like me who don't want to look too closely at the screen. I don't want to work out where the armor is. Just make it really shiny. Okay. We're back in the game. Can we climb through a window? Nope. It's just not Assassin's Creed.
It will be closer to Assassin's Creed as you go. I played like 4 hours yesterday, so obviously I didn't go too far, but yeah. You will be able to jump, etc.
Ooh. I do like a
But you
jump.
won't be able to climb, so no.
Someone was asking
yeah.
something about the katanas again in the chat. Did it say?
No, don't go there, don't go there.
Maybe we don't want to debate whether it's
How are your
katanas.
wounds? Can you run?
I feel like this is like the curved predecessor. Something like that. Didn't it mention that in the video?
Not here. I'll take care of this.
We will have Jack soon, so he will tell us all our mistakes.
Yeah, there should be loads. Oh, except what I'm saying. That's all true. But the rest, anything else you hear on this stream might not be
So
true.
apparently the sword before katana was called koto. And it was used from 900 to 1600 basically. But I'm trying to find the picture and I'm not able to find. Yeah. So it really looks close to katana in my opinion. Obviously, not an expert.
Who are you?
Devin, did I lose you?
No, no. I was just trying to look at the like screen. It's difficult. I'm trying to look at the chat this time. In the previous stream, I didn't see any of the chat, so I don't know if you were saying mean things about me. So this time,
How long was I?
I'm gonna look at
Long
the
enough for
chat.
the Mongols to conquer half.
They are not saying anything too mean.
Okay, good. Can we not? I thought we were going to grab his weapon or something. It might be our main man here only wants to use his sword. So just picking up any old weapon, not worth it.
Yeah, I tried to pick the Mongol weapon when I played. Jack, is that you?
Might be.
Someone else came into the chat. Oh, no.
Hey Jack, can you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Jack, so known as the Jackmeister sometimes on the internet. I am the writer and lead historian for Kings and Generals' second season on the Mongol Empire, the podcast on the Mongols, and my on the Mongols.
There's nothing.
So
we can
Mongols
do.
and
We're
Mongols.
talking while the characters are speaking.
Oh yeah, we've been like talking through the cutscenes and not paying attention and all sorts of high quality streamer things. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a live streamer.
Get him.
Oh,
The book!
just follow her.
You know,
So there was a question of lingua franca, Jack.
Tsushima is my uncle.
I think that Chinese was the lingua franca in that region in that period. Do you have a comment on that?
The Jito's nephew?
I have to know.
Chinese
Did he
probably
survive?
would be. There is
I think so.
some argument that during the Mongol
Mongols took you
Empire, like
prisoner.
sort of across Asia, that Persian was sort of the lingua franca of choice.
Along the coast.
Toward Castle
Uh,
Kanata.
Would that be
Mongols
would
never really
that
made
be in
any efforts
Yuan?
to impose Mongolian on the people.
I could take them by surprise.
So if you're sort of traveling through the Mongolian government,
Or I'll
speaking
rescue Lord Shimura.
Uyghur or
Drive the
Persian
Mongols into the sea.
would probably give you access
You can
to
contact the
a
Shogun.
lot of levels of
Look for
government.
reinforcements.
I didn't nurse you back to health.
In terms of
But you throw your
specifically
life away.
the Korea, Japan, China area,
you save
and
me.
yeah, probably Chinese would probably be the
Couldn't
lingua
leave you to
franca
die.
of choice.
I need your help.
Lord Shimura can help our whole island. And he's the
Another question in chat was swords that Japanese used. I said katana, but apparently I was wrong.
Dead wrong.
Dead wrong.
No, it's a tachi at this point.
Okay,
The
see.
katana emerged at the late 1300s.
To my eye, everything looks the same because I'm not an expert on weapons, as I said multiple times.
That's no excuse.
Come on. We
Pretty
can.
similar. There's, I guess, the difference. The katana is a bit shorter than the tachi. It's less of a curve, and they're held differently. Like when they're in the scabbard, the
They've been riding
Tachis held with the blade side down, and the katanas held with the blade side up. Whatever reason, I don't know the specifics.
Yeah, for someone like me who is not an expert on weapons, it just looks very similar. I realize that in our video we used a different type of sword holding to katana, basically.
You did the right one for
Yeah.
the period.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
maybe it was
Someone-
correct by accident, so that was fine.
Someone asked, not by accident, obviously researched it. I'm
Obviously.
sure. Come on.
bound to see us.
Come on now.
Always
If it-
100% accurate.
Someone also noticed that the swords of the spirits might be too low quality to go through Mongol armor. What do you think, Jack?
Come on.
I've also seen what the story goes for why they fully switched to katanas from is either the Katachi
Up here.
is effective against Mongol armors, or
Scavenge
Ping off.
battlefields. You're a thief.
people have it as
Something.
was
I take it.
the Mongol and Chinese swords, which to be shorter and thicker, were actually like chipping the Tachis, making them. I'm not really sure the truth of the matter. The katana doesn't really emerge until about 100 years after the Mongol invasion. It's kind of like a gradual to that, which might have been brought on by the invasion. At least I think actual specific tactical needs, but the one argument I saw was because the Bakufu, the Knight, was bringing in all these people from across Japan to send to Kyushu and send back and forth.
The man who traded your sword to lives just
There's a lot of opportunity for the technical exchange of knowledge. With new sword design started that just happened to be in general more effective, stronger, whatever than the Tachi than
katana inside.
range of knowledge.
It must be here.
Interesting.
Only difference I could see is that, or armor-wise, is that I think there would be more iron on Mongol armors. For the lamellar, the actual like metal plates that they would together,
I am Jin Sakai,
body armor,
nephew to
The
great
Japanese-
Lord Shimura.
towards more lacquered leather
I am no
forms of this. The Mongols would be like full iron. I think there was some iron,
No match for you.
like some iron in the Japanese armors of the time, but not
Still lack
Uh,
control.
I was
not
practicing.
the whole body armor
Your
would be.
father's weapon. A sword
Okay,
of Khan Sakai.
Jack, it's interesting. Your
Saved lives.
mic is kind of cutting out sometimes. Are you using push to talk?
Yeah, I was getting that as well. I can really hear it.
I'm just on the Discord call here.
Teach you to defend
Yeah,
yourself.
and I wonder if there's something wrong with your mic or is it the internet problem.
Master your blade.
It'd be the internet. Hang
You must first control
Yeah, it sounds like internet.
your emotions.
Just low bit rate. Reminds me of the old Skype days when all calls would sound like that.
By the way, someone said that Devin is fake. I'm not sure if Devin
True.
accepts it.
True.
You accept that?
Yeah, it is technically true. I mean, we cannot escape the truth here. This is an academic channel.
Let's see.
We just have to deal with it as it comes.
Try to strike me.
Then I'm fat. I need to drop weight. Okay. I thought that you will say that you are not fake, which will allow me to pass, basically. But no. No luck.
Well, I don't know. I've been trying to be less thick over time, but keep eating chocolate, so it's pretty hard. I don't know. There's probably some way to do it. But
So-
the main takeaway is that this game calls all the swords katanas, and it's wrong. 0 out of 10. Okay? Dead wrong.
Linus S is asking who is the best admiral in naval history, in my opinion.
Told me.
Naval history is not my area of expertise at
Well
all.
done. If you'd fought
So
like
I know that
your attack would not
people
have
watched
bruised
our
you so
videos
easily.
on
Wasn't a
Engine
fair
War,
fight.
and there's this
Imagine
take
his
that
return to
Yu
finish what he
Shin
started.
was the best
And he'll use every dirty trick he knows.
naval
How
commander
will
in
you
history.
defend yourself?
I'm not so sure about it.
Then break his
I think
nose.
that obviously
See how
what he
big
did
he
was
feels when
remarkable, but
A
it
small
was
victory
somewhat connected to
achieved
the
without honor. When the
superior
samurai
ships
faces
that he
a
had
grievous
at
foe,
the time.
he must rise above them.
So
and
I
never
don't know.
sink to their level.
Someone like
No matter how
Nelson, in my
tempting.
opinion, is far more interesting.
Now, break through my
Again,
defenses.
I'm not sure
Show
if
me Jin Sakai is a
other
warrior of
historians
great
will agree
courage.
with me.
Well, I'm not historian, but I would say Admiral
Break my
Togo is
block
also
with a
pretty
heavy
interesting.
attack. Then strike
He's
quickly.
also connected to Tsushima somehow.
Somehow.
1905 Tsushima.
Yeah, if you guys watched our video on Russo-Japanese War, you will
Heavy
kinda
attack will
be
unbalance your foe. Follow with a quick strike.
surprised by how good Japanese naval officers were in that period. They basically run circles around the
Heavy
Russians,
attack will unbalance your foe. Follow with a quick
despite the
strike.
fact that Russian ships were superior in many aspects.
Enough. I yield.
You let me win.
If you held a real sword, I would be dead.
Really?
So there's a
Never
question
lied to
if
you,
we will see Korean
Change, try to
soldiers in
block
the
my
game.
attacks.
I have played like 5 hours. I haven't seen any
Hold
Korean
your blocking
soldiers.
form.
But Jack, you will confirm
Fine block.
majority of the troops in this invasion were from Korea, right?
I did have the numbers written down.
I'm sore. Can we take a break?
We're not finished yet. Find
Not
your
a
resolve and fight
majority
for the
of the
pain.
troops, but it would have been a significant.
Good.
Yeah, exactly what it was in the video there. Anyhow, wrote like 5 scripts.
Time you
How do I
learn to
not
parry.
remember just
Wait
off
for
the
me
top
to
of my
make the
head?
first move.
For some
Once
reason, I
strike,
think that
block my attack.
the majority of at least sailors were from Korea for some
The
reason.
sailor, like the actual crews manning the ships, would have been almost entirely Korean. First invasion, it was pretty much just eyeing on Korean ships.
Good form, Jin.
And I want to say that it's like
You need to catch your
8
breath?
5 or like
It
8,000
will take
Korean
more than a child to knock
soldiers,
the wind out of me.
and the other 15,000 were made up of Mongols,
Let's see you
Huns,
defend against a spear.
and Northern Chinese.
Dodge my spear, then follow up with a counterattack.
So, as a single block, the Koreans
When I
might have
thrust,
been
You dodge.
perhaps the largest
Good reflexes.
ethnicity. They weren't like an
Vulnerable after
overwhelming.
attacking.
I mean, nature of Mongol tactics too is they basically like to send all the they consider disposable to the front line. So anyone acting in the infantry roles, whatever subject people that was, this would have been Chinese or Koreans, be the ones being sent up in the front lines, and they'd be the ones
You cannot
our
overcome.
character here
Thank you
would
for
be
these
hitting
lessons, Uncle.
or killing
We
the
are
most
not
of,
finished
probably.
yet. Jin Sakai, will you honor me with a sparring match?
I wouldn't want to hurt you.
If you're that
Devin
confident,
is actually doing
let's
good.
make this interesting.
I think so.
Better than I
I was
expected.
concentrating. I didn't hear anything that was just said.
Better than I
But-
expected after seeing his Rome 2 gameplay.
I got through the tutorial. Oh no, I didn't. No!
Well struck.
Why did I even say that?
He will beat your ass.
Still just the start of the game.
Very good.
Yeah, the game basically starts with a long prologue, during which you are trying to be really honorable. And by honorable, I mean whatever we. Oh my god, he's just kicking your ass. Oh my god.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
For generations,
That's what I'm seeing on my screen.
Well, then you're too far
Nice.
behind.
Yeah, I'm behind by like 10 seconds, so.
guide us.
Loyalty to our Lord. Control over our emotions. And
You know this.
honor. To fight
I mean, it's pretty much the same
and
as
uphold the
Sekiro.
legacy of Clan Sakai.
It's got the same parrying and posture thing going
Your
on.
father's words.
It should be a bit easier. At least for me it was easier, but then again I played Sekiro on PC and that on
Protecting
PlayStation. I guess
The ones who
using
keep fighting for
controller
themselves.
makes it a bit easier.
It should be easy on the controller.
You
Yeah.
have a good heart.
I sucked either way.
First, I must show
Yeah, I mean,
everyone
Sekiro is kind of
with
impossible.
courage
That was like the whole
integrity,
gimmick.
and self-control.
Did someone say, was it you?
that like it's easy.
Ilkin said this game was easier than Sekiro.
It's easier, yeah. At least in my opinion. Again, I'm not a historian, I'm not a gamer, I'm just...
I'm not a gamer,
Set an example
but-
for people
Imagine being a gamer in 2020, right?
Oof.
and to ourselves.
Gamer jokes.
That is the meaning.
I
of
do
our
dislike video games. Like any man of culture.
Not their samurai.
Every time I think about buying a new game, I just play Skyrim again until I video games.
That's good value for money.
Yeah, I save so much money.
Totally.
There are like so many mods. It's
Goes
impossible
to Tsushima mod when? Just play Skyrim.
Never. Never.
I missed what
So
happened
what-
that time. Now I don't know what's going on again.
Basically, he found his sword and he will now kill that kill Mongol.
It's time to kill everyone, I guess. Let's win the war.
The stable's on fire.
Yeah, in the first like 5 hours of the game, you basically play like open warfare style. Then you decide that it's time to play some guerrilla warfare. Yep,
More riders.
he's dead.
Islands crawling with us.
By the stables.
You need to catch up. I'm way ahead of you. I'm
Are you killed
like
the
years
second
ahead.
Mongol?
Oh,
Yeah,
whoa, I blew it. Oh no, I didn't. I almost got a mission failed for leaving the mission area. But then it teleported me into a cutscene. So I got away with it.
Without honor. I will not
Somebody's
break
saying that Skyrim is better than this game. I'm not sure, to be honest. I have played Skyrim for like hundreds of hours and I never finished it. This one I will finish, that's for sure.
Hit. Target the pulsing enemy. Do you have to do that? Guess I'll just press square to kill the enemy. There we go. It was easier than expected. Thought I'd have to do something. No wait, we need to end his suffering. Okay,
I'm done running, and I can
there
finally
we go.
help.
Damn it!
That was nice of us. Help whoever's in trouble. That's a very vague objective during a Mongol invasion. That's gonna take a while.
Yeah, I think that my wife is cooking something, so I will go and help her right now.
Fair enough.
More guards.
Don't let
I'm
anyone
gonna
escape.
go and help, okay?
Alright. Good luck. It's like
Yeah,
gotta
I guess the normal guys just die in like 1 hit.
You will
Nah.
see. You will see. There will be a boss battle soon in like 10 minutes. You will see a boss
I
battle
want
and
some
you will die.
punishment. I want to die live on camera,
die.
and I'll
You'll die.
complain and cry. It'll be great.
You have somewhere to hide. I heard Golden Temple.
Somebody's saying that you are making Kublai angry. Stop.
Stay off the way.
Kublai isn't gonna like this game. I suspect it has a very unfavorable portrayal of his
Risked your life for them.
nation.
They couldn't defend themselves. And
So, Jack, you are saying that the Mongols
They're not the
use
only
like
ones who
Koreans and Chinese and other people's basically as canon fodder in their campaigns.
The Mongols took
But was there some kind of cultural assimilation? Were there like Korean or
I
Chinese
just want my brother back.
people who tried to look more like Mongols
I
to
hope you find him after I save my uncle.
Yes, actually.
promise.
Actually, the Korean court was very notable
I'm
for
coming
this.
with you.
Well, after
Stables
1270,
are just up ahead.
Korea is like very much lockstep with the Mongol court. The new king, 74, I think. He is married to Kublai Khan's daughters, and his son and
Let's get to
heir
the
is
horses.
part Korean, part Mongol. The Korean court adopts Mongol clothing, Mongol hairstyles, and try to live like
Samurai horses.
Mongols.
The few we
I don't
didn't
think they
take
do
into
it very well,
Lucky for
but
them.
that basically
And
lasts
us.
until the
Which
end
horse do you
of
want?
Mongol rule in the region.
so until the fall of Yuan.
Or I think I'm just trying to remember now.
He suits you.
I think
He needs a
actually
name.
it's sort of about the 1350s.
Noble, trusty companion.
Yuan rule is basically to fall apart anyways. There's rejections against Yuan in Korea. Some of these red turban armies actually in Korea point during the end of Yuan. There's some Mongol parts of the governments that actually last longer in Korea than they did in China. There was one part of the government which was tasked with subjugating Japan. It's called like the Mobile Commission for Subjugating Japan or something like that. Actually is in some
Holding
form
your
until
uncle
like the
inside.
20 years after the Mongols have been pushed out of the rest of China.
The walls
Okay.
are too high to climb. We could cause a distraction. Sneak in.
No. We will
Somebody
But
just
that was
thinking.
quite
If we will
lots
cover
of,
the Battle of Blue Waters.
humiliated my uncle. Butchered the warriors of Tsushima.
That's the Battle of
I'm
Blue
going to
Waters.
repay his kindness.
By repeating
I'm going
the
to
same
cover it.
mistakes that got your friends killed.
okay.
That's what the Mongols will think. But this time, I'll strike first.
Hello?
Wait here until I finish this.
Hello.
A Red Turban Rebellion. Yes, we will. That script's already written.
Oh, nice. I think that they're asking actually about the battle between the Grand Duchy of Lithuania and Golden Horde, the Blue Waters. 1360 something.
Yeah. I guess my chat here is a little slow. I don't have.
Yeah, you just listen to my voice. I know that it's annoying, but still, it's your best guide in the wilderness of the chat.
MQ, yeah, will you cover the Battle of Blue Waters? I see your question now. I guess we can. I don't know. There's like a little like tactical information about the troop movements.
Yeah, somebody told me that there's like Ukrainian and Lithuanian sources for it. I just never come around to check if that's true.
I've never seen anything in English on the battle.
So that's a constant problem, right? You know that it might be. Oh my God! Did you die? Did you really die,
Getting out
Darren?
now. I don't know. I suppose it's
Oh my
restarted
God!
the
Oh my
game.
God! Oh my God! You died. You died terribly, painfully.
Sekiro all over again, where I don't know when to press parry in relation to the attack.
Do you need some kind of, I don't know, button or the shining something? Like in
There's like a
back in game?
timing which you have to eventually work out. I'm guessing it's something quite the same as Sekiro.
What's all that noise?
I think it's better for you to use the circle button to dodge. Stop running, you're a samurai. Stop running. Yeah, dodging worked. Anti-suffering.
Try not to get hit by their swords, Devon.
Oh, that's what those are. Okay, I get it.
Got a
They were
spear.
fanning
Don't get hit by that
themselves
either.
with something. Okay, luckily I used my Samurai Resolve to not die somehow, so that's good. Oh, that's an enemy. God. It's really dark on my screen in my defense. Can't really tell what's going on. And as I said, the audio is completely messed up. I've got left channel only, super loud.
Next you will say that
I've got all the excuses.
your keypad is not working or something.
So, I am also playing through remote play, which means I don't have real time. It's like latency.
No, it's not. I tried it. I don't know. Oh, it's not
It
too
might
like
be for
that.
me, because we're doing it like through multiple rooms. Something's
So,
exploding.
Devin, the chat is asking if you have a mug of Yorkshire Gold tea by your side.
A mug of Yorkshire Gold tea? I don't know, what's this sponsorship request? I don't. I feel like that's a reference to something. Luckily,
don't
I don't. Luckily, I'm not at all in sync with British culture, so I don't know what that is. I've heard of tea. I've heard of Yorkshire, but I'm neither in Yorkshire nor drinking tea, or any combination of those two concepts is involved in this stream. But if they paid us, maybe it would be.
That's kind of weak. Yorkshire tea pay us. That would be okay. All the companies who produce tea or something. Lavi Kolchinsky is asking, how did the Mongols communicate with the Japanese and other territories in their conquests?
Usually, well, we'll answer through a lot of interpreters. There's one example for this in the podcast. Some confirmed on an embassy stationed in Armenia, Baiju Noyan. They have a letter from the Pope
can't
to
keep
be
going.
hand over to
to.
Baiju.
Fall back.
The letter in Latin, I think.
I find Lord Shimura.
So it has to be translated into Greek, which is then translated
I'll get
into
the horses
Turkish,
ready.
which is
Do
then
it.
translated into
I'm not back soon,
translated into
right for the
Mongolian
forest.
and then read out to the commander. Basically, they just find enough people who spoke overlapping languages and rely on them to get things. There's sort of an interesting written documents from the Mongol Empire, like from the Mongol Empire in China. Very difficult to understand form of Chinese, which basically will be like Chinese characters but written with Mongolian grammar. Yes, it's just about indecipherable unless you happen to know.
Wolf. Jack,
Another.
I think
Yeah.
that we lost your voice. Can you connect with your phone because it was
Yeah.
much better
Let me
when
do
we were
that. I'll
testing.
switch to that.
Yeah, it was much better when we were testing.
I can give the
Sony-
odd word.
Yeah. You know what I found odd about the beginning of the game? The way that Yuma, her name is, she talks to him like they're equals, which is, I guess, good for the game, but I don't think that it was possible in that period in Japan, basically.
In action.
Yeah, I imagine not.
Can you hear us, Jack?
Yes, you're really loud.
That's your problem. You need to decrease. You need to
Stop
decrease the
yelling.
volume. Okay. That's
Lavi.
it.
All right,
Can you hear
how
me
do
right
I?
now?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
So Lavi Coachins is asking if there was a strong sense of loyalty and patriotism in peoples of conquered states. Did the Mongols try to promote the loyalty to them to maintain stability?
It depended where you were. In some areas, especially steppe regions or regions close to the steppe, especially where Mongol rule was longest, but also kind of like the local peoples were a bit more used to that kind of foreign nomadic domination. There was a bit more of a willingness to accept the Mongol idea of their heaven-ordained rule. So North China regions, Central Asia. I mean, Mongol rule lasts in some parts of Central Asia and the steppe. Well, Chinggisids are ruling until parts of the 1600s in some areas. But regions like South China, those parts of Eastern Europe there where it wasn't really much of a direct Mongol government installed, then there was a lot of resistance to their rule, and basically as soon as they got the chance to throw it off, they did.
Nephew of Lord Shimura.
But there was a lot of ruling through fear in a lot of cases early on.
His honor.
But especially in Iran, though, what the Mongols would do as well is they'd adopt a lot of the local ideas of kingship.
Has told me much.
So
about
Kublai is a great example of that in China, where he's adopting sort of aspects of a
I
traditional
will show
Chinese
him his
emperor.
nephew.
In Iran,
Broken,
we see the Mongols,
humiliated, begging.
they're
Join the
illustrating
Mongol Empire.
traditional Iranian stories like the Shahnameh and portraying themselves. All the characters are shown as Mongols, so you have a depiction of Alexander the Great as a Mongolian in
Is
full
your
Mongolian
time,
armor.
Lord.
I see no mistake.
Sorry?
I see nothing wrong with that. Continue.
Well said. So there was, in these cases, there's not so much patriotism, but kind of a sense of trying to enforce the idea that the Mongols are supposed to be your rulers.
Your uncle is watching.
And even the successor states after that, generally, they don't completely throw off all the aspects of Mongol rule. They kind of, especially in the Ilkhanate, the successor states, their founders like to portray themselves. Their legitimacy was based on the fact that they had been a high-ranking figure in the Ilkhanate who had served the Ilkhan. Tamerlane, he's a great example wherein, so he creates his genealogy for his family where he had shared ancestry with Genghis Khan. His great-grandfather was a close servant of Chagatai. Timur kept puppet Chagatai Khans up until like his last years, and even one of Timur's successors started saying that Timur was a descendant of Genghis Khan. So definitely local ideas of Mongol kingship stay very strong for centuries.
I failed.
And, well, Chinggisid descent as a basis for legitimacy outlasts Timurid descent as a basis of legitimacy.
Yeah, especially in, like Crimea, right?
Oh, for sure. Well, the Crimean Khanate, that lasted, was that 1783 that's conquered?
Yeah, basically centuries after everything else fell.
So,
It's
yeah.
what's especially interesting in Ilkhanate. I know a bit more about that because I'm from that region. Basically, the Ilkhans really tried to adhere to the Iranian culture, and in terms of becoming Muslims, they really went after the Muslim heretics. Whoever was considered a heretic by the Muslims, the Mongol Khans went after them, basically.
well, there's the final Ilkhan, Abu Sa'id. You know, he's sending caravans on Hajj to Mecca. He's the final Ilkhans, like they wear turbans and
Birds in the trees.
like they
And uncle?
don't really portray themselves as alien rulers. You know, they just
Thank you, beautiful.
they do adopt aspects of the local culture. Not all of it, and not enough for a lot of locals to fully accept them, but enough that the majority can kind of go, well, all right, they're not too bad.
Do you think it was important in terms of the infighting between the Mongols? Like, let's say the Golden Horde adopted more Turkic traditions while Ilkhanate more Iranian traditions in order to be able to fight together?
No, because the fighting begins before that adoption process is really picked up in earnest. You know, to me, most of the fighting, like I know between the Golden Horde and the Ilkhanate, obviously it's the popular explanation is Berka Khan is upset with the destruction of Baghdad, but the fighting for that is always like it's more territorial based. Like both the Golden Horde and the Ilkhanate both want to control the Caucasus. Beautiful Azerbaijan, Ilkin. They both want a piece of that.
It's fine. It's not that beautiful. It's fine.
It's enough for a lot of Mongols to die over.
Yeah, basically, big fights happened around Derbent and Ganja, right?
Well, they both wanted the Mugan Plain there. Like it's no coincidence that the early capitals of the Ilkhanate are basically all in that region. Tabriz, Maraga.
Yes, they were more focused on fighting the Golden Hordes than, let's say, Mamluks or even, I don't know, Chagatai.
But, well, here's the thing. The Golden Horde is the only existential threat to the Ilkhanate. You know, the Mamluks, they can stop the Mongols from pushing into Syria and Egypt, but they don't have a chance to actually defeat, like take down the Ilkhanate. All right, when the Mamluks are pulling their forces to fight Mongol invasions, that's like their entire armed forces being mobilized for that. The Ilkhanate only has to win one battle, and then it can push right through to Egypt. It's just that they don't win any of those important battles. But the Mamluks, they're never in a position that even operate beyond the Euphrates. The Golden Horde, meanwhile, has the troop strength, the right geographical borders, and just the intention to really make a mess of the Ilkhanate in the way that its other neighbors just don't.
Father.
We actually watched a very heartfelt scene where the uncle of the hero tells him that he should fight with honor. Which for me is a bit too fantastical, I guess.
You know, it's a game.
I know,
They
but
gotta have the
heroes and villains, right?
you know.
Some
They
aspects
wouldn't-
will
there's
be
a reason-
fantastical. I imagine.
Sorry, Devin?
Some aspects will be fantastical, unfortunately.
Yeah, because he talks about the honor and the way the samurai always fight with honor, but we know that somebody was using those ninjas, right? Somebody was sending assassins to kill each other, right? It wasn't like peasants doing it.
Well, you know, the word honor is like translated into English there. I'm pretty sure it meant something else in the context of Bushido. It's more like just, you know, like...
You know Bushido too?
I know, but I've read Way of the Samurai. That was a
I
while
have read
ago.
that too, long ago, yeah.
Don't remember. But
I think
it's like
the
a little
word
bit
honor
different.
might mean obligations and things that you have to do, basically. Which
Yeah.
doesn't sound that good.
Well, it's rubbish, isn't it? Why be a samurai? Because then you have to do stuff.
Yeah, better be a gamer. to not
Be a
do stuff.
gamer. Gamers don't have to do anything because they've already achieved everything they need.
Jin!
They're already playing a video game.
Found Lord Shimura.
What can get better?
I could have saved him.
So, Lavi Kalchinsky once again was an interesting question. Did the religion of the Mongols affect the way they rule? Did the religious ideas ever catch on in other territories?
I swore to protect us
So-
with my life.
What we actually see
Mongols have stolen our hope.
by the end of the 13th century
He forgot what
is
it's like to find
basically
someone
all
stronger
the
than
Western Khanites adopt Islam.
to feel weak.
And there is,
Sometimes when you're still
well, not by the end of the 13th century. It takes until about the
have to do whatever it takes to survive.
1330s for all of the Western Khanites.
The Khan
And
expects
By
the
Western, you mean
It's-
Ilkhanate and Golden Horde, right?
Yeah, and Chagatais.
every move.
Yeah.
It's everyone west of the Yuan
Find
dynasty.
new ways to surprise him.
And it does have an impact. There is
Save Lord Shimura.
a rather humorous little, well, I don't know about
We'll need some
humorous,
help.
but
Riders.
if anyone here who knows of Rashid al-Din, he was a famous historian of the Ilkhanate, and he wrote for us just a magnificent source which is full of information. He was a vizier for the Ilkhan, and his son would also enter this position, Ghiyath al-Din, and he put together one of the first illustrated Shahnamas. And in it, he juxtaposes the Ilkhanate as sort of putting up the wall of Alexander to keep out Gog and Magog, and
Bastards
Gog
scared
and
of
Magog
horses.
in the sword, or
Samurai mounts.
Zhuj and Najuj, I think it's in.
Yeah, Zhujan Majuj.
Yeah. And so Zhuj and Majuj are kind of presented like the Golden Horde. So the Ilkhanate,
Nice.
which actually had Muslim rulers after the Golden Horde, but became
Mongols
officially
must be
Muslim
hunting.
first, was sort of presenting the Golden Horde as the great heathens on its northern border there, and so it did play into the propaganda
Find more allies.
components. I forgot what his question was. Sorry.
Lady Masuwa,
I just wanted to talk
Did
about
the
that.
Mongol religion
My brother can
get
help too.
into
Once we
was
save
adopted
you,
in
you'll
the
have the
territories they
island's
conquered,
best
basically?
blacksmith in your debt.
Or if
You'll
you
make
mean
whatever tool you need
specifically
to
like
save your uncle.
Tengriism, shamanism, then no.
You dream it?
No, it did not.
Taka can
So
do it.
let me expand on the questions then.
Where are they holding it?
He was captured near Ketchi.
What was the
Right there,
difference
Maximo.
between Turkic
join you soon.
Tengrism and Mongol Tengrism? Was there any
Taka
difference
won't
at
last
all?
long in the Mongol cage.
Not that I am personally like. I think there would be difference in some of the names. Part of the problem is we don't really know the specific form of Tengriism before the Empire. Like the way we understand it is being presented to us through the prism of generally monotheistic authors who might be presenting it in a way that's more understandable to them, where Tengri is basically just God by another name. The other problem is that we're looking at that after the Mongol world expansion has already begun. So the Mongols have adopted this universalist ideology, and as a part of that, have sort of turned Tengriism into a universalist ideology, where now Tengri is willing that you conquer the whole of the earth. I'm not really convinced that that's the form it had before 1206, when the Mongol Empire was declared. It seems to me that Tengri took more of a central focus than he otherwise did, and that it would have been a lot more I don't want to say decentralized, but not quite that same powerful central focus. You know, a bit more impersonal, you might say.
I have read a theory that basically because Tengrism was close to monotheism in terms of the Tengri being the sky god, it was easier for the Mongols to adopt Christianity and Islam. Would you agree with that?
You know, even then, I don't really want to say. I don't see it, because there's also Mongols who adopt Buddhism without a lot of like with the Tengriism and shamanism. It's not an either or, right? It's you can be like even today in Mongolia, the country it's Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhism, but they're still shamans. There's still shamanic influences. So from the Mongol point of view, they're not really even abandoning it in all the cases. I guess in the later Chagatai Khanate, there is that there is battles between Muslims, like Muslim Mongols and Tengriist Mongols. But because the early Mongols, I'm not sure by that point where we're seeing the conversions, they would have even seen the distinction between their imperial ideology and Tengriism. It's kind of one and the same. It's part with the Yasa of Chinggis Khan and all that.
There are people who depict Mongols as really tolerant in terms of religion. But if you ask me, it seems that it was more about being rational, I guess, being as rational as possible in order to influence more people.
The best description I've seen is that when we say the Mongols were tolerant, we literally mean they tolerated other religions. That as long as you didn't get in the way, and as long as your chief religious figures prayed for the Mongols and supported the regime, no problems. But if you did, then you had a problem. And the
problems.
Mongols only had one way of solving problems.
Yeah, and it wasn't pretty, right?
Yeah, you know that's why when the Caliph, when Hulagu destroyed Baghdad in 1258, it's not a religious thing. It's just the Caliph had failed to submit, and that was the punishment for failing to submit.
Well, there are some people who depicts this as a religious thing, like Khan's mother was Christian, that's why he attacked like a central Muslim city. But it seems a bit flimsy because the Mongols did the same to the like Khwarezm Shah cities, right? Without a religious factor there.
Yeah, and the Mongols have been basically planning to attack Baghdad for decades. You know, it doesn't matter what the Sorhaktani's opinion was. She was dead by that point, and Mernka was the one who sent Hulagu west, so... The Mongols didn't like to leave independent, influential powers on their borders.
I'm not sure how influential Baghdad was at this point, to be honest.
So,
In terms of House of Wisdom, it was, but not in terms of the state. It was too weak at that point.
yeah. I mean, the Mongols, I think it seems that they thought it was more influential than it actually was. They were, for at least some of that period, they were under the impression that Baghdad had a huge army, and they were kind of like afraid to approach it without a huge army of their own. And then when they got up to it, and they're like, "Oh, that's it? This is easy." So,
And Devon died. It was easy.
come on, Devon.
I don't know what I'm doing. Looks like we don't actually need to kill these guys anyway.
I don't think that you do. You can press start and go to the mission area, which is easier, and it will give you some experience basically to be better samurai down the line.
Yeah, it said you unlock assassinations, which I could have used just then when I was
Yeah,
awkwardly
you-
standing behind the
you
enemy and
basically-
not doing anything. So I probably should.
And you'll die again. It's fine.
Yeah, probably. Someone's chasing me. Yeah, they'll forget. They don't care that much. They'll stuff
I
to
like
do.
this. I like the standoff animation. It's really like from a movie. I don't know if we have any Kurosawa fans here, but
Yes.
okay. So we
Yeah,
have at least
that's
one.
drawing it from the sheath for your first attack. Classic anime move.
Well, that's an actual part of the sword designs was for that. But I think that, again, that's a bit more katana than Tachi. So,
0 out of 10.
Yeah.
Jin,
it's game sucks.
They messed
Hate
it up again. Plus, I'm also carrying 2 swords. Had the 2 swords thing developed yet? We would have a shorter second sword.
No, I think that's, again, a bit more of the
well.
katana and
should have heard them
wakizashi.
coming.
Like,
Let
I
myself
think
get
that's a later
distracted.
one.
Yeah.
these people
Yeah,
saw Mongols
at this
marching prisoners
period,
upriver.
The
They had a
samurai,
blacksmith with them.
though they did have
Sounds like
swords, the main
taking
weapon was a
him to a
bow
camp
and then
near the
a
Canada
spear or
Inlet.
naginata.
I know the place.
Even for samurai.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
they were archers, right?
even-
Primarily.
So, because if you're on horseback, right, you want a longer weapon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's-
sword was like a last
Samurai
resort
uncle?
weapon of some
Not yet.
kind.
Yeah.
But I'm still searching.
So
I'm sure
I
you'll
think
find someone soon.
like for the purposes, chat, of researching these scripts, I ordered In Little Need of Divine Intervention, so it's a translation of a set of scrolls which were compiled by a samurai after the
After we saved
invasions.
him.
And
Hard to believe I might see him
basically,
He's lucky to...
like the samurai in question, Takazaku Suenaga, he describes being a samurai as the way of the bow and arrow, and most of the illustrations are showing samurai
What
either
about you?
using bows
Any brothers
or
or
using
sisters?
naginata, and
Tsushima
there are
is my
some with
only
swords, but
What will you
it's
do when
kind
he's
of,
free?
Take a breath.
I think it's a bit more movies,
Then I'll know
like
there's
something
hope
from
for
movies
our
where
island.
it's everyone has
Feel
a
that
sword.
strongly.
right? A sword's a very expensive piece of equipment.
After your brother's
Yeah, same in Europe, right? The
Yeah.
knights are always showed with swords,
had
but
time to
swords
think
are
about it.
incredibly expensive and
Mm-hmm.
they're difficult to maintain. They're difficult to make.
And they're difficult to
Yeah.
use, right? Because you have to get the blade angle really precise for them to cut through things. Whereas
Yeah.
like an axe,
You know,
you
and
can just hit stuff
so
with
a
an
s-
axe.
Yeah. Well, like a
Right,
spear.
well,
Yeah.
It's way less steel,
It's a stick.
and it's
Mostly here.
or iron, but
bandage
you
it
still
to the
kill someone with it.
Yeah,
So-
I feel like spears is the patrician choice for weapons. It's just so efficient.
I suppose you're
Well,
Well,
right.
if you're on a horse, right?
My
You
uncle
want
taught me that
you
a
want a
samurai
weapon
masters
that
his
you can
emotions,
actually
like a
use
master
to
of
get
a horse.
past a horse's
Or a
head.
blade.
Yeah.
A spear is great for that.
It's not supposed to be
So-
easy.
There's like a thing in Total War games where it's like, but swords beat spears because you go past a spear's tip and then stab someone with it. But it's like
You
in
can
reality,
cut the head off of the spear.
yeah, like a spear can attack much faster than a sword, and you can just like drop your grip and stab someone at point blank range with a spear as well. So I think people underestimate a pointed stick. It's a pretty versatile setup. You can do a lot with it. And it's super cheap. Whereas a sword, like if your angle is slightly off when you hit them, it will just deflect off like even clothes. You have to like hold your hand like with a tennis racket grip to get it right, to make it work. So it's like you need to be a noble and spend all your time practicing to like kill someone with a
There's a
sword.
spot up ahead that overlooks the
Just
river.
not worth it.
should give us a good view of the Mongol
Yeah.
camp.
You want to kill someone from as far away as possible.
Sorry for cutting you off,
There's the camp.
Jack. Devin, you can
Tough to get
uh,
inside.
slide your
Still
finger
have
over
this
the
together in days.
what do you call
Has
it?
to be a way in.
The thing.
Yeah, I was trying to do that, but it just
Yeah, because
sort of didn't
It
happen.
gives you the wind and shows you which way to go, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, it's much better than normal like like the GPS nav trail thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of
It's-
telling me to go where I just was. I think I just needed to press a button, actually. Oh, yeah. I was just looking the wrong way. It's all going well.
We need to reach Taka.
Master
So
of the
regarding
Samurai.
regarding the swords, I think
Find a
that
safe
in
approach.
Europe the weapon of choice for the knights was like flail and axe and stuff like that for a long time, right?
I think. Well, even against a guy in a full set of armor, a full set of armor is actually going to be pretty effective against swords. Like you're
Yeah.
a bludgeoning weapon or a war pick, where you can actually.
You could scale the rocks.
You
on
might
that
not
If they're loose, they might get
break
away.
through the whole armor,
Alert
but you
the
can get
guards.
through just on a point, or even if you got a helmet on, a
Front wall
mace to the side of the head, it's still going to
Find a
hurt.
way in.
So
We can
Yeah, that
look
makes
for a gap
sense.
in the front
Like a
wall.
sword's not that heavy.
inside.
It's not going to go through metal unless you
You can
really
tell
whack
what
someone
was
with it.
No.
And they probably killed you
Something
first if you
goes
did
wrong.
the wind
They'll
up
kill
to
the
really whack
prisoners.
them with it.
I've seen them do it.
Especially in like
We
a
have to
battle,
go
if
in
someone's like
quietly.
right in front of you, like 2 feet in front of you, you probably
wrong
can't
with
cut
that?
them in half with a long sword or something. I feel like it's just not
Before the
practical.
This island
Yeah,
of
but I guess
swords by
for the
criminals.
duels it was a weapon of choice,
We
right?
changed that by creating order.
yeah, well,
delivering justice
it's
in the open.
they like to present themselves with the sword and all the artwork and stuff because
We died.
even then they thought, man, swords are so cool. Because if you were good with the sword, that's generally a mark of
We wanted
nobility
the same
because
thing.
the nobility had time to
We have
and
to
the
fight
resources to afford a sword and train with it and be really proficient with it.
Never break our code.
So you like
And
to show
only
yourself off on your
to
tomb
save my
effigy
family.
or your artwork, all wearing
what's
swords,
left
and kind of
of
that
us.
feeds into the our modern ideas of the weaponry, right? It's kind of like if, in 800 years, if they were learning about
Wait
weapons
until
of
it
the
gets dark.
21st century and saw everyone using
Let's move.
just like pistols and thought, oh, everyone just had pistols all the time. And that was a cool weapon. That's what you did.
AMQ says that what are you talking about? Katana can cut through space and time. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard stuff to that
he's right.
effect. Yeah.
Jack is just a heretic.
He's been through a lot. Even before the
Well, we should have the
care of
what's better,
Someone
katana
had
or a European longsword
what I
debate.
stole.
Debated in the chat
No.
now.
Starve.
What cut through more
Didn't choose to
stuff?
be a samurai either. But
Oh
cold
my
means
god, why did you
instincts.
do that?
It's better than getting
I don't know. They're both pieces of metal attached to handles, and they're both
No,
inferior
I
to a
mean,
wooden
why
stick.
did you take fall damage?
Oh,
fall
that, yeah.
down.
Because this
you back to
game
the
needs
Mongols.
more Assassin's Creed.
We'll play that too. We'll play that too when it comes out.
Oh, Valhalla.
Yeah, I'm.
That's going to
to
be even
honest,
worse for historical accuracy. It's going to be pure trash. They're going to make it all up.
Again, what's a historical accuracy? I was playing a game of European Universalis 4 recently, just checking out some new stuff. The starting position is obviously historical, but as soon as I start playing, it stops being historical. So there are no real historical games out there, guys. It's just impossible. So this one here, right here, is as historical as they come, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, like you see those Sulda, or the two tall things on the scene here, and they have the black like horsehair coming off of that. Those are actual Mongolian war standards. So like, there are historical things here. It's just fun to pick on these games.
Just complaining. It's not a katana, guys.
You guys just hate gamers. That's why you do it. I love gamers. You guys hate gamers. So let's.
Oh, okay. But the
This
dual
discrimination
swords
against
on the
gamers.
back, that's the guy's armor looks like something from Skyrim.
Yeah.
What about the Mongol armor? Do you think that it would be the armor that they use at the time?
What do you think, Jin?
Sorry, I didn't.
As the
Gotcha.
Mongol
It's
armor
running
that
at
you
the
see on
limb.
screen right now.
Your arrow wounded him.
This is
Uh,
when a beast
The
is
armor
most
we see on screen doesn't look like
Yes, Uncle.
anything.
Surely they had like gambesons instead of like this like leather strappy stuff going on. Like so they'd look really
Bears
fat to us because they're really
They
thick, like
But the fighting
gambeson
in
armor.
Yarikawa
I
drove
mean, you're
some
starting the thick discourse again, and
They
I would
should
like
be
to stop.
thick, more
No,
thick
stop.
We
Mongols.
are not barbarians, Jin.
I also missed what we're doing. At some point during that cutscene, we got sent back in time again.
Yeah, you should go after the beard, basically. Not me, the black beard, the one in the game, basically.
I'll take a look. I'll take a look. If you were on camera, you'd be in trouble. Oh,
I think
I wasn't.
I think you're going the wrong way.
I think I might be supposed to talk to the ground.
to
Okay.
the ground.
There it was. There it was. It's pulling a Witcher on me. There we go.
Juno NH says that, hey Devin, loving your abridged stuff. I do love it too. I think that we are overworking Devin,
It's too much, huh?
which
too much.
decreases his.
I talk so
we?
much, my voice. I lose my voice like every day. It's pretty good. Like by the end of every day, it's gone.
Oh my god.
Too much talking. It's like it reminds me of in being in university how the lecturers would constantly lose their voices because they were just shouting at people all the time.
Yeah, my mom. Poor
I
mom.
stumbled here.
Well, at least now it's
Time?
quarantine as no one is
No.
going to lectures, right?
But we're getting closer.
Is that the dude who narrates Kings and Generals? Yes, Devin is a dude who narrates Kings and Generals, and he's fake, as you can see.
That's the most important thing to
Yeah.
take away, sorry.
And he's wearing a Kings and Generals t-shirt, which
I
is
am
also really
wearing
important.
official merch, which you should also buy, and then, don't know, be on webcam wearing it. Then you could be like me.
Are you saying Mongols fat? Basically, the
still
popular
alive,
depiction
can I
of the
take the
Mongols
shot?
is the depiction of
Ooh,
Kublai
control
in the recent Marco Polo series, right? And he was
Hmm.
extremely fat there, obviously.
He was a big boy.
Yeah,
We got
chunk.
him.
Careful. You could still be alive.
Well, you know, if you're a Mongol warlord, you've got a lot of tasty
This
treats
arrow
to
should
eat.
not have killed him.
It's gonna be hard to stay in shape.
Yeah, Juno is asking if we have a Discord. We do have a Discord, but it's for the
Not from an arrow.
patrons and channel members because honestly, I don't have time to moderate it. So opening it up to everyone would be the end of the.
Disdain for plebs intensifies.
There's no disdain, but it just would be difficult and take my time. Tony 3333 is asking if I'm from Eastern European descent. I'm from Azerbaijan and I currently live in Canada. My accent is a bit Russian, I guess.
And look him in the eye.
because Russian is like my first language, despite the fact that it should be Azerbaijani.
And take his life.
Is Fat Kublai historical accurate? What do you think, Jack? Fat Kublai.
Oh, baby. Kublai chonked up. He was so depressed and so Kublai began suffering from gout when he was
We face our
about
nation.
40 years old, maybe
Oh.
even sooner.
When we
It
take our
got so
life,
bad he was ordering specially made shoes from Korea made of fish skin
and respect
later on. It seems like his final years, he basically all his close friends and family had died, and he got incredibly
cowards strike in the
depressed,
shadows.
was an alcoholic and just eating all the time. He was probably, if you saw him in his last 10 years, he was probably just absolutely disgusting. Like he
Nice.
was. There's
Fat shaming aside,
That's true.
I will just not turn on my camera, and Jack will probably say that I will
Jin.
die in 10 years or so.
Kublai cosplay every day.
Yeah, that's me. So I heard that gout is what's called aristocrats' disease in Europe because basically it was connected to the amount of meat they were eating, and only the rich
Yeah.
people were able to eat meat.
It's very hard to get gout if you're eating millet and grain for every meal.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the Mongol diet, very heavy, lots of alcohol, lots of meat, lots of mutton. You know, there's two 13th century portraits of Kublai. One, how he would have appeared in about the 1260s or early 1270s, and
But he
he's
was
a
like
bit
40,
on the.
right?
He would have been about 40 or
Yeah.
50 then, because he was born in 1215. And he's a bit on the large side, but not like unhealthily so. And then there's one showing him on horseback in the 1280s on a hunt, and he's a round boy. He's a like they got him. He's wearing like this ermine coat, so you know that it's white with like the little bits of black on it that you only see on aristocrats in like European paintings and stuff. And it's a huge coat, so he just looks like he's almost like a perfect circle on the back of this horse, like. And that's in the artwork, like commissioned by his court, right?
Yeah, that's what the filter on.
And
You know.
the thing is, there's this super popular depiction of Chinggis from his statue in Mongolia.
Mhm.
And even that statue shows Chinggis kind of big, right, in terms of his weight.
Yeah.
He looks like a bigger person.
Well, I guess sort of the Mongolian ideal peak male performance body is a bit more Samoan than it is. Or no, you know, like it's not like the Greek sculptures there. You know, six packs and
Even the Greek
everything.
sculptures are not Greek sculptures, so
you know,
it's fine.
it's kind of a thicker set kind of thing. And I mean, the reality is historical peoples aren't going to be perfectly sculpted bodies anyways.
Yeah.
So,
Unlike
no,
us.
I think it would have been very hard if, for the early Khans, like Chinggis, the early generals and stuff,
A prisoner.
living on horseback
No.
and like riding everywhere, it would have been hard to be like hugely overweight. But if they're eating a lot, because they had huge herds of sheep, you know, huge access to resources by that point,
when it's safe.
so they could have been a bit
Come on.
thicker, but not unhealthily so. It's just that when you remove that campaigning and constant horse riding out of your diet, that they just balloon into
Let's get to the river. We'll be safe there.
big shapes, shall we say.
Yeah, what about Subutai?
are you with the
Do you
Star
think his
Ronin?
depictions as fat person are correct?
Oh, no, so that's...
Started running low on
Lord Shimura's been captured, and I could use some extra.
So
space
you
to free
recall
him.
that we did
Are you looking
that
for work?
interview with Stephen Powell, the historian on the Mongol Empire? So
Last I heard,
he has
the
a great
Mongols
article
in Sitsu
on this.
Prefecture.
It's called
About a
Subadai,
house
Sorting
where the
Fact
Kishi
from
grasslands.
Fiction.
Fat from
And
fish.
so,
Fat from fiction. Yes, yes.
so he goes through like because we don't actually have a huge amount of historical detail on Subadai. He gets mentioned a lot, but we
This
don't
way.
know much about him as a person. And so basically a
Looking
lot
for my
of
brother.
later
Blacksmith
authors
named
tried to
Kako.
fill in the blanks and make more stories out of
Prisoners
him.
move through here.
And so one of these details that pops up is that Subadai was so fat he had to be carried around in a cart everywhere.
You said they were
And-
moving
but
the
there-
slaves. Where?
This is not in any of the historical sources. Like mentions of persons who are so fat the Mongols didn't want to put them on horses are mentioned,
Better be
but
right.
never in connection with Subadai.
I hope you find your blacksmith.
So
So maybe he
Does this
wasn't
mean that
alive.
Kublai was
Osmo
related
Bay.
to Maui? No, I don't think
Town is
that.
surrounded by walls. Rushing in without a plan.
Who
would
was
be
the
more
fattest
dangerous.
person in history?
I have a feeling.
That-
We might as well just
that
get to
would-
the bottom of this right now.
That would be me if I continue like that, so I need to stop at some point.
Yes, I mean the contest is still open technically, so
I'm like-
you can
I'm like
contend.
the- I'm like the biggest strain on the Canadian healthcare system. I need to stop.
You're gonna bring it down. You're gonna bring it down.
Yeah, just because of me, they want to move to American system, and everyone will suffer because of that.
It's
So-
nice to be remembered for something, and sometimes you just have to destroy to get that legacy.
Home.
Yeah,
Is
destruction
wherever
was
Kako
sad.
and I go.
But Jack, there's this common knowledge, let's say, or
My friend
tourism
lives in
that
Osmo Prefecture.
to be a
On the border
leader
with
of a steppe army or army of the spirit, you need to be
I know
a
this wasn't
strong
easy,
warrior in your own
going
way.
against your code.
So how did the Mongols continue to respect their leaders if they got so fat at that age?
well, they didn't.
Okay, that's
you
why
look at-
they were depressed, right?
Lord Shimura.
If you look at Kublai, it's not just because he's fat. It's because he's fat and adopting Chinese cultures and not focusing on the steppe so much. So Kublai, his rule is very contested. Like his actual authority never extends beyond China. He sees rebellions all along the steppe, Manchuria, Central Asia, Tibet, southern China.
Men control the road. They build wall
Like when
camps
the
in little
Mongols
towns.
return to China,
They see
or when they get expulsed from China in 1368, they're too Mongolian for the Chinese, but when they get back to the steppe, they're too Chinese for the Mongols. And the northern Yuan Khans, so the
just love your
Chinggisids
people.
who continue to rule in Mongolia,
Your father
their rule, it's never comparable to what it is under Chinggis Khan. And they actually become puppet khans to the Oirots for basically all of the 1400s. Like, it's not specifically being fat, it's that fat is a symptom of you've adopted sedentary lifestyles and cultures, and that's what they don't respect.
Okay, I am sedentary. That's true.
Here,
Furkan,
You are-
Öztürk, a guy with a Turkish surname, asks a very Turkish question. Well, the question is, what percentage of Turks were in Mongol armies? So, what percentage of Mongol army was made up of Turks?
oh, 100%.
Okay, but
Uh,
but really,
So it would be a majority. It's hard to give an actual percentage. So if we start off with the Mongol Empire is declared in 1206, and it's made up of the tribes inhabiting what is now Mongolia. And there were lots of Mongolians, but there were also Turkic tribes like the Karyots, the Naiman, and there was a lot of overlap between them. So we generally call these Mongolized Turks. So they were ethnically Turkic, but they spoke or were culturally Mongolian. And the other way around, where someone could be ethnically Mongolian, but spoke a Turkish language and so on. These Turks were actually Christians too, funnily enough.
Yeah, the famous story of the Presbyterian John, right?
Yeah, or no, these were Nestorian Christians, not Prester John. But so even at the start of the empire, there were lots of, we would consider, ethnic Turks in the Mongol army. However, would they have considered themselves Turks? Probably, they would have considered themselves whatever their tribal designation was, Kariot, Naiman, what have you, first, and then sort of through Chinggis's actions, they would have considered themselves maybe ethnically Turkish, maybe, but politically Mongolian, if that makes sense. And as the empire expanded westward, it just picked up more and more and more Turkish tribes into the Mongol army. The Mongol, and what they would do is that they would have to adopt certain Mongolian customs, especially the hairstyle. That was basically a mark of you submitting to the Mongols, was if you wore your hair the same way they did. And you'd have to follow Mongol orders and sort of follow Mongolian social organization. And a lot of what they did early on was they'd mix, like they'd take in a tribe, break it up, and mix its people into the other tribal units, so that rather than, oh, you have a block of Mongols, you have a block of Kariot, you have a block of Naiman. I keep falling on those ones for whatever reason, but they're the best examples. You'd break these up so that you don't have this one tribal grouping kind of overwhelming the others. That would be counter to the Mongol imperial government. So as the Mongols move west, they pick up more tribes, more and more Turkic tribes. So probably like the Mongol army that invades Russia and Eastern Europe in the 1240s. So that's probably the leadership and the actual core of the army would have been Mongols or peoples who had been closely assimilated to the Mongols. But percentage-wise, you know, easily 60-70% of the army could be Turks.
Okay, that's...
But not, and I should just add too, not just Turks, because there's also other vassal peoples, other nomads such as the Alans, who are, they were an Iranian peoples.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask. It seems, no, not like it seems. The first Mongol invasion was in Jin Dynasty, right?
Yeah.
What percentage of Chinese joined them in their attack on Khwarezmian Empire?
So it's hard to. There, Chinese siege engineers would have been used in the attack on Khwarezm. It almost depends what you would classify as Chinese, because there would be people today who would count Khitans and Jurchen as Chinese. They wouldn't have. The Mongols initially did not, but later on saw them as pretty much Chinese. So there were lots of Khitans, several Jurchen, but there's not a lot of evidence the Mongols brought like huge numbers of Chinese infantry west with them. They considered before the Great Western Invasion, when they were planning it, like the invasion that went into Russia and Europe, they did mention, oh, what if we just sent a huge army of Chinese westwards? And they got convinced out of that, basically because it was decided the Chinese, they wouldn't be fit to the climate, and probably that huge march across the steppe would have been hugely difficult for any infantry force.
So that's racist.
Don't cancel me.
I'm not canceling you. So since Devin is the most handsome among us, I think there's a question for him. Devin, what is love?
Love is for the weak.
Yeah, I think Jack influenced Devin too much. I think we need to stop this stream right now.
I'm just very stressed
Or
right
he will,
now.
like-
There are some very mean
Viva
people trying to get me.
Esmeralda!
Or he will just, I don't know, buy a horse or something, or steal a horse, which is better.
Love is for the week, but luckily it's the weekend. So let's go wild, baby.
Oh!
Yeah, for that I can cancel you, I think.
Oh, insta cancel.
And no one will say anything. Everyone will agree that you should be cancelled.
Oh my god, there's more of them.
Officially, Devin is over party.
Yes. Looking forward to bootleg Devon coming soon.
All the party's blind, basically.
Well, there's a little bit of an issue with this game. You can't turn around once the enemy have seen you. You can't turn your back on them, so it's kind of hard to, like, move away.
Are you trying to run away from them?
I'm trying to, like, get one of them on the road or something, but... Oh, I did something. But yeah, they you can't sort of, like, run away or run around a corner or something. Because you
Somebody
have to remain
said that you
in
need to
combat.
face it like a man.
Yeah, I think it's trying to do that.
Which is sexist,
But
but
my
okay.
Assassin's Creed... I need more Assassin's Creed exploits to get through this. What? He's blocking my attacks. That's not allowed.
That guy's heavy armor doesn't look too bad. It's kind of hard to tell from screen here. Oh, okay, I can't see now. He's dead.
I'm dead now. Wait till you
Silhouette
catch up
looked
and see
alright.
me die.
If two people cancel each other, does it cancel itself out? No, it doesn't. It just means that we have two less people now.
You both get destroyed.
You both get destroyed. It's like double kill.
Fight me!
Love is to drive your enemies before you and hear the lamentations of their women. Okay, now, lover boy, no, let's not go too far.
It's very
So
romantic.
somebody mentioned Jalladin Mingburnu, and I remember when I first read on the Mongol invasions of, let's say, Iran and West Asia. It was like, I don't know, 25 years ago when I was like 8 or 9. I always felt that Jalladin's movement kinda invited the Mongols into Iran. Like they felt that he's the biggest enemy or something. Am I right
Yeah.
with this?
Oh, so for the initial Mongol attack, yes, the blame falls on Jalal al-Din's father, Muhammad II Khosrow Shah. So we cover this pretty well in one of the podcast episodes. I don't remember which one now. I also made like
7 or 8, something like that.
yeah, it would have been like Mongols moving west or something. Basically, there's kind of like 3 things that happen all at the same time, which bring the Mongols to attack Khorazm, because all of them make Muhammad look very, very aggressive. So the first one, there's actually a battle between Shah Muhammad and Juchi and Subadai. They were chasing Kipchaks and Merkits west across the steppe, and they were coming back, and Muhammad and his army, Jalal al-Din's actually in this army, and it seems he'd been going north to attack these Merkits, but the Mongols got there first. He ran into the Mongol army. Juchi and Subadai go, hey, we just want to pass, we don't want to fight you. We have not been told to fight you, so there's no reason to start. So Muhammad goes, that sucks, I'm gonna fight you anyways. And they fight, and the Mongols are hugely outnumbered, but they apparently fight ferociously. And Shah Muhammad is like freaks out, and he has like a phobia facing the Mongols in battle after this. That happens. The specific time, it's kind of hard to pick, but probably sometime in early 1218. The second event is, of course, the famous Ochar massacre, and that's where the Mongol trade caravan gets massacred in the Khwarezmian city of Ochar. That's not actually the precipice to the invasion, because what happens is Chinggis sends another round of envoys to basically give Shah Muhammad a chance to give up the governor of Otrar and avoid an armed confrontation, and Shah Muhammad kills those envoys. The third thing is probably no one here knows the Empire of Kara-Katai, but that was the Central Asian Empire ruling the area in between the Khwarezmians and sort of Uzbekistan, Transoxiana, and between the Mongol Empire. Over the course of 1218, the Kara-Katai disintegrates sort of from the period from 1211 to 1218. There's a usurpation of power by an enemy of Chinggis Khan who had fled there, and so the western half of the empire gets taken by the Khwarezmians, the eastern half gets taken by the Mongols, so now the Mongols and the Khwarezmians are neighbors. So, to Chinggis, looking at this battle between Juche and Subadai, and the murder of his envoys, it looks like that Shah Muhammad's really aggressive, and like he's making the opening moves of battle, and also now they're neighbors. So from Chinggis's point of view, he can't just leave this because he doesn't know how aggressive-minded Muhammad is. You know, if he leaves and keeps fighting the Jin, Muhammad might keep expanding east while Chinggis's armies are occupied. So he rolls the dice, invades the Khwarezmian Empire, and 2 years later the empire is disintegrated. And then Jalal al-Din, so we have an episode basically just on Jalal al-Din on the podcast. It's called like Mongols Went Down to Georgia, I think.
Which I still don't know the reference.
Yeah, it's a song. The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Okay, I'm a foreigner. Okay,
David got it.
David is a good Canadian boy, so.
So Jalal al-Din basically spends the period from 1221 until 1229 basically attacking everybody except the Mongols. He kind of tries to restore the Khwarezmian Empire in western Iran and the Caucasus. He fights in India for a while. He sacks Georgia 2 or 3 times. He makes a mess. He's just killing people left and right. Most of his army is defeated at the Battle of Yassi Shemen in 1230, I think, 1229 maybe. I don't remember precisely right now.
Basically, there was a bunch of alliances against him, right?
Yeah, basically the
I'm
Seljuk.
sorry for stopping you. Devin finally found the place to claim, and he's very excited. I see it on his face.
The place to climb. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I pressed down to go down. It was innovative.
Yeah, so the bunch of peoples in around Iran, they basically decided that Jalal-ad-Din is super annoying, and they united against him, right?
Oh yeah, he's like physically he's quite sick at that time too. Like he can barely even ride his horse, and if I remember correctly, what happens is he tries to ride forward, but he can't. So they decide to pull him back. So his banners move back, and the rest of his army thinks that he's retreating. So his army basically breaks and flees. But it's not totally destroyed. And then, like, the very next year, the Mongols show up in the region, and he spends his last year and a half basically running from them across, like, eastern Anatolia before finally getting killed by Kurds somewhere near Diyarbakir. Like, he had all, like, Jalal al-Din, he was very charismatic. He was a good general. You know, he had a good reputation. He had an army following him. He had the time to actually set up some sort of local coalition to fight back against the Mongols. And he spent the whole time basically attacking other Muslims.
By an even finer swordsman.
Yeah,
Like,
he was basically a peerless of his time.
I'll need
Yeah,
strength for
I
what lies
I think on the
There are
podcast I
bamboo stands
compared him
throughout the
to
island.
Bonnie Prince
They will help
Charlie,
sharpen your
where
skills
he
on the
gets
journey.
sort of this local
Farewell, my
legends
lord.
about him. Oh, what could have been, but in reality, he was just kind of a putz. A very violent, dangerous putz, but a putz nonetheless.
Yeah, I think in some parts of Central Asia, he's considered like a national hero.
Yes, there's statues to him. There's legends about him. For year after he died, after he was murdered in 1231, there I guess for like decades afterwards, there were people popping up saying, "Oh, I'm Jalal al-Din. Flock to me," and then the Mongols would find him and kill him. So he was, his name did more than he actually did, if that makes sense.
Oh, you must be weary from
So-
battle.
Lavi is asking, how did the area around India avoid the Mongols? How did India defend against the Mongols?
Replenish your strength for the
You can
challenges
watch
to
our
come.
video on the Mongol invasions
Follow me, my lord.
India, Battle of Kili, 1299, and I also have a video on my channel why Chinggis Khan chose not to invade India.
Bathing in the hot springs restores your spirit.
It
And if you make a
so
habit,
when Chinggis Khan was,
waters will
he
grant
was
you
right
a
on the
long
Indian
and
border in
prosperous
1221. That's where he defeated Jalal al-Din on the Indus River. And there's a couple reasons given in the sources, but I think it was just a matter of he was already had fighting going on in China, Central Asia, all this stuff. He didn't want to start a whole new battle, huge new massive campaign in India while he's doing all this other fighting. He doesn't know the local terrain, he doesn't know the local peoples. Apparently, thought is given to going south around the Himalayas and then coming up north through like Sichuan to attack the Jin dynasty from the south, but that gets abandoned because you're not going to find a road for that. In one version of the story, his army sees a talking rhinoceros, which tells them not to attack India, and they think, hey, you know what? That's fair. If the rhino tells us not to, we're not going to do it. After that, so Jalal al-Din, he spends a couple years, 3 or 4 years fighting in India, makes a big mess. He sets up some local puppet rulers. When the Mongols get to the region over the 1230s, most of these local rulers set up by Jalal al-Din submit to the Mongols. There is some suggestion. So the early Delhi sultans, who basically come to dominate northern India in the aftermath of Jalal al-Din, it seems that they basically were really good at paying off the Mongols, and they might have taken some sort of nominal submission to them, so the Mongols felt they didn't need to invade. But it's only kind of the end of the 13th century when the Mongols actually start to seriously look at invading India, and by then the Delhi Sultanate is very powerful under the Khaljis, Ala al-Din. What else is there? Oh, and the Mongols themselves, their strategic ability is much less than it was earlier in the century, and whatever other reasons we specified in the video. But the Mongols,
I'm looking for Sensei.
I think the area up to Multan spends quite a number of years under Mongol rule. The Punjab, for much of the 13th century, is part of the Mongol Empire. So it's not so much the area around.
He came to town for
If I remember, what was his exact question here?
Hardly spoke a word.
So how did the Mongols defend it against? How did India defend against the Mongols? So basically, it was a mix of terrain and I think coincidence, because a few times the Mongols invaded, there were strange events that stopped them from going further.
Well, there's never,
I hope not, my lord.
like, the attacks on India proper,
When Timur,
like, they're never more than raids up until the end of the century, so.
Yeah. So when Timur invades India, for instance, when he sacks Delhi, he probably can move deeper south, right? But it's just not something that he's
The
interested in.
sensei's dojo is up there on the cliff.
He's just Timur. So for the people in the chat who don't know, I think I had like 2 or 3 scripts where I had the sack of
One more
Delhi like
question.
tacked onto it
May I
because
ask
it's
why the
such.
sensei
There's
let
no
this
build up
post
to
his
it. He
archery
just
master to Clan Nagar?
Timur basically gets
No
back
one
from
knows.
attacking the Golden Horde,
Strange.
goes, oh,
Giving
Delhi
up
looks
service
pretty
to a
weak,
great lord.
invades and is out of the country
Yes.
in like 7 months and just leaves a huge goddamn mess behind him. Like there's no build up. It's complete crime of opportunity. It's
Yeah, and then he says that Bayezid is getting stronger in Anatolia, and says, "Okay, I'm more interested in Anatolia," and turns there.
he's Timur. He's a bit of a dick.
Yeah, he is.
Got him.
There was, speaking of male organs, I think Devin finally found a bath. So congratulations on that Devin.
Yeah, I had a hot spring session. It was good. There's some nudity, and my health went up, just like in real life. So it's all good.
So, so gamers out there, having a bath is good for your health.
That's right. You can't face
That's
your
what
enemies
Devin
without
said.
taking a bath first.
Yeah, that's not what I said. That's what Devin said. So, please.
I just want to
that the-
discriminate against gamers some more. They're already the most discriminated against demographic, but I want to make it worse.
Regarding Timur, so Jack, you would be interested in that. The name Timur or Tamerlan is really popular in Azerbaijan, and recently there was a discussion if giving that name, the name of the person who killed like millions in the region, is a good idea.
Dried blood.
And
The fight wasn't
there's
decent.
like ongoing discussion on that, and my opinion is that it's not the best thing that you can do to your child, but I guess some people like it.
Someone was wounded. Remove the arrow.
The games like Chingiz and Timur are super popular in Azerbaijan.
You know, with Timur, you know, I almost say that because you can argue you're not being named after Tamerlane because there's a lot of other people named Timur in this period. If you read about late 13th century, 14th century Turco-Mongolian history, every other person's name has some variation of Timur in it.
Yeah.
Kutlug, Kutlug, Timur, and a bit later, Asen. We see like, it's kind of like when Game of Thrones came out and everyone started naming their daughters Khaleesi.
Which don't do that. And they should burn the city and made a war crime.
Yeah, that got awkward towards the end, huh?
And people who are called Khaleesis are now like 4 or 5 years old. So
This
soon
is
they will
actually
go
a
to
pretty
school.
good comparison.
Yeah, soon they will go to school. Very fun.
You survived.
Maybe some of them will become war criminals. Who knows, right?
Used your bow.
We can always hope.
My way when bandits attacked me.
We can provide the
Them
opportunity.
to return.
Yeah,
Equal access to war
Samurai
crimes.
never caught by surprise.
Most people are too poor to carry out a war crime. Is that fair?
Lord Shimura. He was a good man.
This is the new left.
Taken captive by the Mongols.
Somebody was commenting on on if they're allowed to
Help me
make
save
political comments. Everybody is allowed to make political comments.
My
Just
student is missing.
don't
skilled
be racist or
I will help you look.
bigoted. Otherwise, make whatever comments you want to make.
The try not to be racist challenge.
Yeah,
Can you do it?
Try and keep up, Sakai.
Sure. Yeah.
Someone
I
was
gotta
saying
go
that
to
you
the
can't
bathroom.
really
I'll be.
separate the history and the politics, and I think that's a reasonable way of looking at it. Like, if you're interested in history, then you are interested in politics, because it's all the same thing.
So the guy called Skolsky, which is from Russian,
Any others who can fight
can be
back?
translated
Besides
as.
us? I don't know yet.
You'd better
I'm not
find
sure
out
how it can
quickly.
translate it. So
We can't
Skolsky
figure it out
asked,
by ourselves.
what's up with Caucasians in Russia calling their children Timur? As I said, I'm not a fan of that, but then
I
again,
can help
for
track
instance,
your
Russians
students.
still
I
call
need no
their
help
children
tracking
like
Tomoe.
Olga and
A woman.
If you remember from our recent video on Saint Olga, she killed like thousands of fellow Slavs. So I guess it's not only about Caucasians, it's just a normal thing that you do. Not normal, but something that people still
The last
doing,
time I
still
saw
are
you
doing
was
around.
10 years ago.
You came to study with me.
You remember?
I remember most of the students.
So Devin,
you
somebody
reject.
said that the game is
Instead, you
just
took this
cutscenes and walking.
Tomoe
What do you
as
think?
your student.
Well, you missed it. You missed the game.
He's a prodigy.
You missed the
But there
bath
is
scene?
cutscenes and walkings in between, and technically, cutscenes and walking are actually part of the game, if you want to get technical. I'm about to kill someone right now, actually, so if you want to see someone die, now's your chance. It might be me, but someone's gonna die. This is my promise.
PUBG Mobile Gamers says that the next video should be on Timur. Yes, the script on Timur is ready. I just need one extra book to confirm a few things, and then I'll start making that video. Bin Drill asks why he shouldn't be a racist. I don't know, man.
Depends what your
That's
moral
How can we
axioms
explain
are.
to you that you should care about other people?
If you want to be a racist, be a racist.
That's an
but
assumption. That's an assumption that you should care about other people.
Even
What if my
though-
morality is only I exist?
Just don't be racist here, and don't stab your teacher like Devin did right
Yeah, I
now.
accidentally gave him a good overhand sword slash. I also
that's-
accidentally did that to my horse earlier as well, but so far,
more
no one's been
Celtics
very
up here.
offended by it, so it's fine.
The way I'm bad for Canadian
Mongols
healthcare
destroyed
system,
Nakayama.
Devin is bad for
Patrol like they came from
UK
there.
education
close to the
system,
hot springs.
killing teachers,
Town
etc.
will be the next to
Not
fall.
cool.
What's actually happening in this game? Are you doing something right now, or
Ambush.
Well,
I
Basically,
have not been?
maybe.
he started as a honorable samurai, and now he's learning to be this guerrilla fighter. I mean,
Not much.
not guerrilla
No one
fighter.
died.
Yeah, he's like his uncle told him don't stab people in the back, but then someone else said you probably should, and it turns out it's better to just stab them in the back. So that's what we're doing. Samurai out the window. It's way faster if you stab them in the back.
I remember this discussion when we covered the Battle of Carrhae between
and
the
millet.
Parthians and
Afternoon.
Romans,
The
and the
attack
people
was
are like,
sudden.
yeah, using bow and arrow
Fear
is
the worst.
not honorable, etc., etc. And I'm thinking to myself, okay,
We'll
the
never
Romans
leave
have
the
invaded their land, and
Unless she was
the
pursued.
general
Or captured.
killed them using
what
bow
end?
and arrow, which saved a
Interrogation,
bunch of his
torture.
soldiers. So I think that's quite okay.
They may be doing the same
You
to
know,
those
bow and
who-
arrows only dishonorable
Fear is a
when the
weapon
guys
of
you
God.
like are losing. So
Not let the Mongols use it against you.
the only honorable way to fight is walking up to the other guy and slapping him with your dick.
I think that's what it comes down to. at the end
Anything
of the
other than
day,
that is
isn't it?
cowardly.
Yeah.
Okay, we're coming back to that bath scene again, and I'm feeling that we need to move on
I
from
should have
that.
fought at Komodawa.
This is how you build your honor. It
I
starts
just
by
know that-
removing your clothes.
Why did
I just know
samurai
that the
fail?
way Jack is
Mongols
proposing
fought
to
like
fight, I will lose every
Long
time.
answer.
So
My own eyes.
An archer's aim
Somebody
relies not
donate
on
for the
eyes,
next stream to be live
mind
sword
and
fighting.
spirit.
so
A contest of honor.
yeah.
More like Bushy don't.
Using accurate 15th century Japanese penises.
Yes.
We
At
can't move on.
last.
Eh?
We need to talk.
We just can't. Nulan, are you here?
What's wrong, Sensei?
This bow
Is there another
No.
volunteer?
was a gift to me from
No, he
Nagato.
was. Yeah, I wanted a
beautiful
fair 2-on-2 fight. That's why I'm not.
Ah, I see. You can do it tag team.
I was going to ask him if
And it's a good thing you're giving it
he
to
is
me.
working on the next video.
Who said anything about giving? Prove you can shoot straight. I'll let you borrow it.
Get up close and personal. Yeah, that's what Jack offered us to do.
Yeah, the closer and more personal, the better.
And that's why, after I heard about Jack's offer, I decided to be a pacifist.
Aim for that lamp closest to us.
War, war isn't the answer to anything. It's true. Well, certain kinds of war aren't anyway.
So Shipmate is asking when the game will be out on
Further the
PC.
target,
So
the more your arrow
basically,
drops.
they have not announced anything,
Now, the one
but
further down the road.
the way I
On the left.
see things, especially with the recent
It would make me
announcement
regret
of the
I'd hate to add to such a
Horizon
long
Dawn,
list.
and then the release of something else is going to be released from PlayStation exclusive. So basically, in 3 years or so, they will release this game on PC, because that's a good way for them to show PlayStation exclusives on PC and get more people to buy PlayStation, basically. So in like 3 years, you can expect them to release that on PC. In my opinion.
Dad, let's see if you can hit the one furthest away.
What is World good for? Nothing, absolutely nothing.
You can make
Please
video
pay-
games about it.
What does it feel?
Like it was made
Somebody is
for me.
asking us
It
to
was.
play Stone
good
Cold
care.
Crusader next. Have you played that,
Let's
Devin?
go.
Stronghold Crusader. Oh, maybe? Yeah, that's the thing where everyone has a British accent.
Yeah.
And it's like
Is
medieval.
that bad?
Commodore,
I think, isn't that from like 20 years ago or
Victory
something?
is won by
I have a very
warriors,
vague
not
memory of that.
you haven't seen the
You are
Mongols
just jealous
flying
that you are
weapons.
not the only
They
person who
have
has the
but
accent.
one.
Yeah, there are more people like me. But not for long. Once I've perfected the way of the samurai,
Fort Nakayama.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
my sword will block out the sun.
Okay.
We'll get a better look
Another
at the
racist
defenses
comment.
from up
Thank
here.
you.
Racist comments. We did say this is the no racist comments challenge stream. See if you can do better.
This spot is perfect.
Bye bye.
I'll find a way in. Open the gate.
We will play Crusader
You
Kings
always
3 whenever
charge into
it's out.
battle with your hakama
I'm not
half
sure
tied.
when we'll play it, but we will
idea.
do it.
Patience.
Yeah,
Survive.
we'll do some good
Mongols
incest
will
stuff.
send
It'll
men
be
to
good.
find their missing patrol.
Yeah, it's the stuff.
When they open the gates, we strike.
The longer we delay,
Have you done
the
Dark
longer
Souls
joy
livestream? No,
remains
that's
in
our
you.
second livestream. The first one
can
was
take care of yourself.
Rome 2 livestream, and
Survey
since
the
nobody
battlefield.
watched it, I can tell you that
What can we use to our
Devin won the
advantage?
campaign in like 5 moves.
Hornet
Oh, we
nest.
won instantly.
One shot.
I had
Yeah,
this
he won
like I had this
instantly.
technique which I'm not going to tell
He
you
was-
about.
The sting of insects and
He
arrows.
was like, I will choose Rome and I will win, and he won
Those
immediately.
barrels could do
It was
some damage.
incredible.
We'll find out.
It's because I'm such a king and such a general.
An arrow in those hanging
Yeah.
lights will blow
Oh,
the spot.
just like on the. That's why they call it that.
He said the name of the channel. What does this mean?
Nachos.
The skill,
Roll credits.
but we are better.
No, don't do roll credits. Come on,
The
I hate
gate's open.
those guys.
Distract the enemy and rain arrows on their heads.
Then we storm the fort.
I have opinion about everything.
Free,
Can you
boy.
imagine?
Now we wait.
No.
No, you can
I
ask
have
me
very
anything.
poor imagination. If it's not in a 13th century primary source,
Open
I
the
can't
gates.
picture it.
Wait for my signal.
Yeah.
That's the only source of truth really in the universe. Those 13th century primary sources.
So are you trying to rescue someone from this fort here?
Yeah, maybe. It's basically we're in an archery tutorial, so I've shot the bees, and I think the bees are gonna kill all these guys as they walk past. Maybe.
I guess.
That's what archery is mainly about, shooting bees. Trying to get the bees to defeat your opponents. Looks like
Barnet
it didn't work.
HTEE says that you have the coolest voice as a narrator. I think so too. I love Devin's voice.
Well,
yeah,
you're
right.
wrong.
Do you have an opinion on Armenia and Azerbaijan? Yeah, I do. They should stop fighting. That's my opinion.
Do you have an opinion on Armenia and Azerbaijan? No, that's actually the one thing Ilkin's indifferent about.
No, I'm not indifferent, but somebody asked me to make a video on Armenia-Azerbaijan conflict in Karabakh, and like I am trying to be as unbiased as possible, but obviously if I make that video, I will be at least a little bit biased. So somebody else should make that video, right?
Well, you can just declare your biases up front. But by the way, guys, I'm lying. Now into the video.
But I'm not lying. It's different biases, you know. Not every bias is one-sided. Sometimes you bias when you try to make something too neutral, for instance. You try to be neutral, and that's why you diminish one thing.
Well, yeah,
and,
that's like the equal time fallacy. Certain viewpoints actually don't have much evidence.
Yeah.
It's not actually worth talking about them very much.
I worked as a journalist, so I know how it happens. You try to be neutral and you try to present both sides, but at some point you think,
One
okay,
side.
one side is flat earthers and one side is like PhD in, I don't know, planetary science. And you think, okay, do I really need to give them equal time? Do I really need to present both equally? And somebody in chat will be, yes, you should.
Yeah, the people in the UK here often criticise the BBC, not so much anymore. The BBC are like the main news thing. Always used to get like climate change deniers on during climate change debates in order to sort of balance the debate. Just like
At least they're not
sort
jumping
of
from
one
cliff,
denier versus
like
one
you.
scientist gives a false impression about the actual weight of the debate and how much really each side. I think they stopped doing it.
Imagine dying to NPC enemies. Imagine dying to falling from a cliff.
Well, it's gonna happen.
Still, you got a bit better than before.
I'm getting good. Getting good, boys.
You're not complete garbage.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I was supposed to like do something clever with the archery, but we're just gonna press triangle on them. Oh, he stabbed me. We're just gonna press triangle on them until they die now. Somebody stabbed me, but I'm fine. I've got so much resolve. I was in the hot spring for so long, I'm somewhat sword proof. I don't know how it happened. Right. Oh!
Chat legionaries versus samurais, who would win? If it's battle head-on, I think Roman legionaries would win.
Yeah,
If the samurai use
I would
their
agree.
balls and their balls archery, etc., Romans would die.
It's kind of depending. Is this just like a one-on-one between a legionary and a samurai, or is this like you're picking? Oh, these are
That's always the
armies, and then
question.
it's like from what period?
Yeah, because Rome is like, everybody says Rome, but it's like, starts like hoplites and ends with Han mercenaries, so it's not clear what you mean when you say
And for the samurai too, like the
Tied up.
yeah.
army form of 8th century Japan is very different from how it is under the early Tokugawa shoguns or the Indian War, right?
Yeah. So people are complaining about too many cutscenes in the game, and the more I think about it, yeah, there are more cutscenes now in the game than ever before, and I think that it was under the influence of Uncharted and The Last of Us. Both series are really good. I'm not saying that those series are bad, but especially on PlayStation, they influenced.
Mongolian translations.
They influenced
Renee has
the whole
mentioned she was teaching them
how the games are made.
Yeah, we have to remember the average gamer isn't a gamer with a capital G. Like, the average gamer is just plays for
Me.
45 minutes a day, sometimes maybe. You know, they just sort of want it to be casual and chill, so like they don't care so much about having this like Dark Souls difficulty, and I don't know. Cutscenes
So,
are more fun
Jack-
to some people. I think that's the
Yes,
answer.
for me it is actually, especially when I'm playing in the living room with my spouse near me. She really likes when the game is cinematic because it makes it more interesting for her, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
someone's personal quarters,
Jack K.
women's
Buckley
jewels,
asks if you can
toys,
publish bibliography for
Mongols'
your
freedom.
recent Ghost of Tsushima video. If it's possible, just drop it in chat.
Yeah. So on that video, I have a comment
Yeah.
on there, and I always try to put on a comment early on. It has the bibliography I used in that episode.
And I added to the description of the video, so it's there.
Oh,
can
did
go
you?
ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, I did.
thanks, Erlen.
And Nolan, how?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm watching the game, listening to you guys. It's
Do I talk too much?
I wouldn't say so, but it's interesting conversation.
These arrows are
I wish we can
Japanese.
talk about the
They're
game a little bit
toys,
more.
arrows.
I'm still with
You are
streaming the
sure?
game.
I taught her to make
But overall, it's good.
It's
and
quite
I'm
good.
working on the
curve of the
yeah
feathers.
Greek
The
video.
Mongols took our
So
weapons.
Devin's
Shots
work
taken
everywhere.
bastard.
Sorry?
Oh, that must be confusing.
Say
Shoots
that?
Japanese arrows with such skill.
I think so. It's yeah.
And they allowed
So
fires of all.
Nulan is currently working on finalizing our video on the Greek-Italian War. The second episode will be out tomorrow.
Yep.
If
And
you guys-
then we'll have third episode and fourth episode.
yeah, and then it will go.
And then it's gonna be concluded. Then we're gonna move back to Winter War.
That's what I said.
Okay, sorry.
Never trust me.
I missed it. Sorry. Kinda overlapping voice.
Yeah, never trust what I say.
Killed my wife.
Yeah. Overall, it's good, guys. It's Saturday.
Proved her skill to the
Take it
enemy,
easy.
and they recruited her.
Please.
Can a samurai arrow go through a Roman scutum shield? Question of the day. If they just shot it into the
don't know.
front of a testudo, would a longbow arrow go through it?
The only
I want.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one thing. So, if anyone here knows the channel Todd's Workshop,
Tomoe won her freedom.
so he's like a professional blacksmith
What
and
happened?
sort of historical reenactor fellow,
Too hard.
and he does some great experiments of
What are you hiding?
historical weapons on historical armors, and he just put up something the other day. It was so he has a crossbow that's set to replicate the strength of a longbow, just because he doesn't have the strength to himself pull a
You drove to the Mongols.
accurate,
Not judge
say 15th century English warbow,
Yeah.
longbow. And
I can't
so
let
what the
Tomoe
test this is just like the other day he put this up.
to the enemy.
And it was, would the longbow arrow go through, and he uses an actual longbow arrow,
You need
just launched from the crossbow. Would the longbow arrow go through the shield? And he specifies how the shield was constructed. I don't know how the Roman scutum is constructed, but if you do know that, you could compare it to his video. And in it,
And when the time
the
comes,
longbow arrows, sort of depending on the specific heads, they go through the shield by like 6 centimeters. Like they just go right. They would have gone through the shield and then right through your arm on the other side.
I need more
Yeah.
people to join our fight.
But
So-
what is the weight of an arrow? Is it possible to overweight the shield, basically?
She's one of the finest warriors on the island.
I guess it could like so. I don't know specifically the Japanese arrows at this time, but for the Yumi, the Japanese bow there, because it's a composite longbow, and it fires very heavy arrows. Like the arrows are actually much heavier than Mongol arrows. So the penetrative power of those bows, especially at shorter range, would be,
Mongols are everywhere.
I imagine, quite frightening.
Fight.
So
Surrounded
honestly,
by
I would
forces.
probably give the advantage to the Japanese
I need to
arrow.
find new methods to keep them at bay.
Okay. MQ
So-
is asking, Samuel Hawley claims that samurai armies in Sengoku period were comparable to the hoplites and legionaries of antiquity, and not even Europeans of that time can compare. What do you think?
Where's the question here? I didn't
Let me drop it in Discord.
trying to find it here. There's a lot of.
It was sent at 11:09, 12:09. Sorry, 12:09.
09, okay. See if I can find it here. Is that the samurai arm? Okay, I see it, yeah. Comparable. Well, so first off, I don't think hoplite armies are actually very impressive.
Oh.
Well, if you look at them,
So guys, immediately with this arrow Jack, we don't know him. It's just a personal internet. I don't know how he ended up here.
Now this
Well, you
is
get-
cancelling.
Yeah.
you get don't cancel me. I'll cancel you, eh?
Mutually assured cancelling is happening right now.
Continue, Jack.
But they're basically like a hoplite army, like in the Greek sense, where it's just like the citizenry not much trading. It's just about being brave, holding your shield and your spear,
And pushing your
standing in the line, and like you look. Part of the reason the Spartans ended up being more effective than other hoplite armies was because they were better at following orders and could actually move as a unit. Like if we have to march, do an about march, and they could actually do that, disengage and about march.
I wonder where it's going.
And the other hoplite armies could. You'd be lucky if you could get them to walk in a straight line. Like you do have mercenary hoplite armies like fighting for the Persians, and that's a bit different. Like they're actual dedicated professional soldiers, but most hoplites aren't professional soldiers. They're citizen soldiers. So honestly, I would say the Sengoku Jidai armies would be more effective than Greek hoplite armies of antiquity.
Yeah, I would agree, especially the way you brought up the Spartans. The biggest advantage the Spartans had against other Greek cities, I guess, was the fact that they were more or less professional warriors.
Thank you.
And they were professional warriors because they basically enslaved another Greek people called Mycenaeans. And these Mycenaeans were doing all the economic work for them, which freed up the Spartans to train. The same was, I guess, true for the samurais, right? Obviously, the peasants were not slaves, but they were closest to being slave that you can be without being one.
So the Sengoku Jidai. Now I don't. You probably know that period better than me, Okin. So I can't really say anything with a lot of certainty. But that's like a huge expansion in just the size of Japanese armies. You know, and is that also like they're starting to use gunpowder weapons as well, aren't they?
So late Sengoku era, yeah.
So yeah, if all you got is a bronze shield, what the hell is that going to do against a arquebus or whatever they're using? So
I would think that a better comparison would be something like, I don't know, Ottoman army at that period versus Sengoku army at that period. The Ottoman army would probably be a bit better due to the better gunpowder units. But yeah, the Roman and Greek armies of antiquity would not stand up to the gunpowder. That's obviously true.
Yeah.
Güney Karabulut says that they're addicted to our videos. Thank you. Kostov Bakchi says that they're a big fan of our channel. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Reading Michael says there's crossover mode in the game. It can be like a movie. Yeah, it basically turns the game to black and white, and it becomes really movie-like. I really like it.
Yeah, but if I had a PS4, that's how I'd play.
If you have PS4, you would send me a few scripts, and that would be heartbreaking.
Yeah. It's also, I'm kind of like when I saw like God of War and this come out, and I'm like, man, I wish I bought a PS4, but I just know I'd get nothing done.
Yeah, it's your time.
Yeah.
I was sent a couple of strategy games recently to try out and maybe play on live stream down the line, and it like took out the whole week this week from me, which I guess
That's okay. We don't need videos.
You don't?
Probably not.
So I want to ask you something, Devin, and I want, since I already cancelled Jack, his opinion is not important in this matter, so...
Okay, good.
Good start, right?
I feel more important.
So, do you ever watch our videos?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. I mean, I'm pretty much spoiled for all of them, but I do occasionally watch them.
Yeah.
They're terrible. You should stop.
Garbage.
I know, YouTubers don't watch videos. That's not how it works. YouTubers hate videos because they spend all of their life making them. They don't watch videos.
I remember my days of making Let's Play videos, and that was when I started hating gaming, to be honest. Now I love gaming
that's one of those I remember before I ever started a YouTube channel, I'd heard people saying that trying to be a professional like Let's Play makes you hate video games. So yeah, it does. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's an amazing magical effect that just builds up over time.
So the way I'm whining about researching the videos right now, basically I was spending more time learning how to play a new game than I'm researching right now. So the game is out at I don't know 12 at noon on the first day, and you want to release a video immediately, but you don't know how to play, so you spend like 5 hours to learn to play, and then you release a video. No, that's really kills your passion for gaming, basically. Thankfully, it didn't happen with history. I still love history. What else? What good questions do we have? Gaming should be a private moment. Yeah, nobody should talk about gaming, and nobody should show us gaming. I agree.
Oh, so that's a gear. That's the Mongolian felt tent, and that actually looks really nice.
Yeah, look at that.
It's actually quite well
Pretty
made.
intense. Now I'm inside it.
Yeah, it's important what you have inside, right? Batman says, don't use movies and video games to learn history. Yeah, you shouldn't use movies and video games to learn history, but there was this guy called Carl Sagan. Some of you guys probably heard about him. He was a real scientist, but at the same time, he spent much of his time popularizing science, which played a huge role in modern resurgence of some fields. So it's really important to have historical games and historical movies because it increases the interest towards the field. I know many historians who became historians because when they were 8 years old they played Total War game, for instance, or stuff like that. So never discard that effect.
Yeah, it makes you interested. It's like those people watching World War II films that like predicated the whole World War II shooter thing in gaming. It's just that once you become aware of something...
Yeah, that should have been avoided, sorry. I changed my
Which
opinion.
was a disaster, obviously. But...
I changed my opinion. But to be honest, have you played the recent Call of Duty World War II?
No, I played World at War. So the not recent Call of Duty World War II.
Oh, it was that's the old one. Yeah, the recent Call of Duty World War II was kind of good. I like the story of the game. Obviously, I haven't played any multiplayer because I'm not good enough to play multiplayer. That's also an interesting thing. You need so much time to become good at gaming. I don't think that it's possible for someone like me to get good at anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, competitive gaming's not meant to be fun. It's meant to be fun for someone else, so... you don't need to worry about it being good.
Somebody asked us to show the ceiling of the yurt. Please
Oh,
go
it
back
just
in.
happened to have gone back in.
No,
Oh yeah, it's
let's
got
go
a gap, like a smoke chimney thing for the smoke.
No chimney. It's just a hole in the ceiling. So either you let in the cold air or it gets full of smoke.
I think the Mongols might have actually seen me go into the tent. Oh no, they're just shouting at each other in the distance, it's fine.
Ignore them.
Oh.
Go in.
Oh wait, he's right there. Never mind.
The
Actually,
hole looks a bit big.
that's what he said.
Oh no!
I'm
Oh
sorry.
no!
Infinite Somedy.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. David Kang asked if the stream will be available for replay. I don't know. YouTube algorithm is really weird about that. It might be bad for your other videos to leave out the live streams, basically. So I'm not sure that if I will make it public. We'll see. Ahmed Kemal says, I love your channel and I learned so much history from it. I request you guys make a video about Mahdi's wars in Sudan against British Army. Thank you. Okay. So guys, regarding the request to make a certain video, basically, if something happened in history, eventually we'll cover it because we are here to make historical videos until the end of time. So we will work on whatever requests you have. By the way, did you know that Marxist wars were one of the inspirations for the Dune series? I don't know if you guys have read Dune or are interested in that.
No, I've heard that I should read
I
it.
know of it,
Not cultured
yeah.
enough.
Not cultured enough. Okay.
Well, we're wasting too much time watching Devin play Samurai game.
Fine.
This is the only culture I've ever consumed. It's a video of myself pressing triangle. So, I don't know. Is this an anime? I don't know.
The movie will come out in like 3-4 months, I think. Sometime by the end of autumn. So that might be interesting. Hectic Tactics asks if we are playing on regular PS4. Yes, that's PS4. And apparently PS4 doesn't allow you to stream at 180p, so we're streaming at 720. Sorry about that. MQ is asking the most important question, and Devin, you should answer that.
Let's do it.
Please answer positively because we don't want to disappoint our fans.
Okay. Yes.
Can you do throat singing?
Can I do throat singing?
Yeah. No, that's
about as good as it gets.
That will cancel. That will get you cancellation.
Damn it! I guess it's cultural appropriation. You could say.
Jokes aside, you don't earn any money from that, so it's not cultural appropriation.
Aha. Okay. Right.
It's just
It was
it's
just an
just plain
attempt.
racist. It's just plain
Actually,
racist.
you throat sing and the video gets demonetized, so...
It's just gonna get copyright claimed by some actual throat singers
So
because
guys,
it's too
do
accurate.
you know which game has the best throat singing?
Isn't there... They play a Who song in that Star Wars game, right?
I was going to say that. Come on, you broke the surprise. Come on.
Oh, well... Sorry.
It was Star Wars games, basically. That's
It was Star Wars. I don't know. And you play as like a ginger Jedi, which is kind of funny.
Why?
No
That's the
soul.
most unbelievable thing. I can buy aliens, but a ginger
Has
Jedi?
diversity gone too far?
So,
Political correct has gone mad.
I just
so
couldn't buy it.
you think that gingers do not have a soul, right? They don't.
No, I just don't think they can use the Force.
Okay.
I think that we said the same thing.
It's all true.
Somebody said that your singing was off key. Yes, it was. Someone says that it was like yodeling. I guess Devin is better at yodeling.
Yodelay here.
You gotta do it from the back of the throat.
And that's how we lost our viewers.
That's
how
more like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like the PS4 fan. It's pretty good.
Berkcan, I'm trying to read the chat, but unfortunately I can't read and talk at the same time, so I missed some of the messages, but I'm trying to. Ginger hate and they're telling chat not to be discriminated. I'm sorry.
No racism except for the following state-sponsored
Oh.
racism.
Just two groups of people do not deserve human rights. One of them are gingers, obviously. The second are YouTubers.
Yeah, good point.
Gonna
It's hard
say
to
real
argue
estate
against
agents,
it from an
but
ethical point of view because
Very,
YouTubers
very
are net
expectant
negative.
with the gamers. Because I am a YouTuber myself, so I can tell you 100% YouTubers do not deserve human rights. That's giving them human rights is a mistake, so don't.
Yeah. I'm not really sure how society became like this, but needs to stop.
Cody, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, there's a question here. Does anyone know what happened to the Urgadai Khanate by Dunstan Joan? So, the Urgadai Khanate in the 1250s is mostly dissolved during the purges of the new Khan Menka. But it kind of gets reconstituted under Khaidu Khan over the 1270s. He dominates the Chagadai Khanate up until his death in 1301. and then the Khanate lasts another couple years before the Chagatai Khan Dua imposes one of Kaidu's idiot sons on the throne, who Kaidu didn't want to succeed him. And within like 2 or 3 years after that, there's a brief war. The Chagatais invade the Urgadai Khanate, and it gets dissolved and ceases to exist by 1310, effectively. So
Nice. Somebody says that Devin has such a creamy voice. I wouldn't use
what?
that same word.
It's delightfully creamy.
Because that would... I think Devin might sue me for harassment if I use that word. So I'm not using that word.
Oh, no, feel free. I enjoy a bit of good harassment. It's the modern
hit
age.
me, daddy.
Yeah, what's some YouTube without harassment, eh? And what's gaming without harassment?
I'm trying to get into things here. More harassment.
Cody Hindsight, oh, that's great. That's a great name. Asks when there is going to be the next episode of Rus History. So the video is in the making. I think we will release it in August, but again, you know how the schedules work. Somebody goes on a vacation, somebody is late, and somebody becomes a gamer and can't stay for that. So right now it's August, but I'm not sure when. When we are going to pay for throat singing. I think we should pay for that, but yeah. Someone says that Devin is getting choked for our entertainment. That's not this
Next
genre,
stream.
that's another genre.
Well,
I'm sorry.
when's the Kings and Generals OnlyFans account being set up?
Cucks and generals.
Oh, it's perfect.
Oh,
Perfect. Cucks and genitals.
As soon as I lose like 40 kilos, I guess.
Okay, well, there you go. That's something to look forward to. Get 2 million subs. That's the reward.
There is this female YouTuber. She said that she will do a nude stream when she would hit 1 million subs, and she was like at 50k at that point. Obviously, she hit 1 million like a month later. So
it works. So why aren't
No,
we
it-
using this technique?
It didn't work. It didn't work, and some people were complaining to YouTube that she lied to them, and YouTube was like, dude, fuck off.
Should have signed a contract, I guess.
Like, what did you expect, you know?
Guys, if you put your credit card details in the chat, I'll give you some money. But don't be disappointed if that doesn't happen, alright?
Send me 1,000 bitcoins and I'll send you 2,000 back.
That's a pretty good
Swearsies.
deal. That's a good return on investment.
No Twitter memes, eh? Questions.
Someone's still complaining about too much walking. This is good walking. Look at this yellow forest. Does this even exist?
So, there's a question for Satish Satyan. Which king's life story is the most fascinating for you? Jack?
Which will take a guess. Who does Jack Meister Mongol history think had the most interesting story?
I would honestly say Jalaluddin Mingbunu if I was you.
I think, personally, well, Chinggis Khan, I think, is obviously the most interesting. Like, guys like Jalaluddin, like it's not that he's not interesting, but he's a blip, you know. Like he didn't do anything more interesting because it's kind of repetitive. He attacks his neighbors and makes a mess. I don't know.
You don't like messes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
For me, I actually don't know. Every time I hear a question like that, I basically forget my history entirely. I'm always interested in people like, I don't know, for instance, Meiji, the guy who reformed Japan in the second half of the 19th century, and suddenly, like 10 years, it became, not 10, like in a few decades, it became a winner in Russo-Japanese War, which was incredible for the time. That was like the first victory of an Asian nation over
The other battle of Tsushima.
Yeah, the other battle of Tsushima. I know that the flashier guys, like I don't know, Alexander, Caesar, etc., etc., etc. But
Alexander the Great? You mean Alexander the Overrated?
Oof.
Oh.
Oof. Oof.
Maybe you should have been paying attention to the game instead of our.
yes.
Come on here. More like officially Devon dead.
I don't think that Alexander was overrated. I just think that there are things about Alexander that are kind of skimmed over. For instance, his burning of capital of Achaemenids. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't very cash money of him.
That's Herodotus.
Not epic. A bit cringe.
Not a
When's
pro
the
gamer
first
move.
historical mention of
Actually,
a bro moment?
very pro gamer move.
Not Mongols.
Yeah.
Not bandits.
Like, I always
And
find
find
humorous
out what
if people
happened
go, "Oh, you know, Genghis Khan, his empire broke up immediately when he died." Well, that's more true of Alexander the Great's empire than it is for the Mongols. Like, the Mongols stayed unified for another. Well, Genghis dies in 1227, and then the empire basically breaks up. The independent Khanites in 1260. For Alexander, his empire broke up before his corpse was even cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's a couple years, but not many.
And
Didn't
people
set it up.
get annoyed at me when we say that
Someone forced
Alexander and his father ended Greek freedom. When we say Greek freedom, we mean things like, I don't know, city-states, whatever democracy the Greeks had. By the end of his rule, Alexander was a tyrant, and it shows in his interactions with his underlings. Maybe he was influenced by the Achaemenid culture. Maybe he was just too tired of arguing, etc. But many things that overlooked in Alexander. That's what I'm trying to say.
They were trying to escape. Past the children through the window.
So that means now there's a chance for Alexander the Better to come
If
along.
anyone survived.
He's not that great. You can do better, guys.
Staples. Nothing but here.
Yeah, if
Alexander
you,
the okay.
He's just some guy. He was just some guy who had a lot of other guys with him. And then when he died, that was the end of it. You can do better.
so we are asked to make a video about basically Eastern version of Alexander. If you guys don't know, there's a bunch of verses in Quran describing Alexander and his campaign. And it's not verses, but a couple of lines, I guess, is a better way to put it. And he actually influenced the Iranian folklore a bit. I guess we need to make a video about that because there's fascinating stuff. Semi-mythical, I guess, but still fascinating. By the way, the game is gorgeous,
Rider was
right?
being chased.
Look at these environs. This is some
Yeah.
quality art, ladies and gents.
Yeah,
Did
this-
they have, like, are there stories of, like, terrible crunch time for this game? Like,
Not
with
really.
Last of Us, you know, there was
Probably.
horrible stuff.
Not for this one. For Last of Us, yes, but not for this one.
Like,
Apparently this one was in development forever, and Sony never told them anything, and they continued working on that.
yeah, no, because I'm saying, like, if they didn't crunch the guys, you know, all the better for them,
Yeah,
right? You can have a good product, and it doesn't make you feel guilty for playing it.
Yeah, you can. If
Yeah.
the game's just
Archers
made
are
over a
hunting
longer
right.
time, you can still
Rider was
achieve.
skilled. You
same
had to
results.
confuse their aim.
it's obviously financial decision at the end. Having this game at the end of the PlayStation cycle is really good for PlayStation because it ends the cycle on a high note, and people are interested in buying PlayStation 5 to play this same game with the better graphics.
Yeah, because there'll be like a slight remaster or something, I imagine.
Yeah,
Like with The
they will
Last of
call it.
Us.
A fallen horse. This
Because that
horse
was like
The
the
thing was-
PS3 game that launched the PS4 was The Last of Us.
and the same was GTA 5, right? It was,
Yeah, GTA 5 is being re-released again for PS5. They just
On my
can't stop
Switch.
re-releasing it.
Lady
Yeah,
Masuko.
on my refrigerator the next time. That's more of Skyrim, right?
Yeah, I want to play it on my watch. You can probably get Skyrim for a watch already. I don't know. It's some sort of Skyrim for Android thing.
They said no samurai
Yeah, the
escaped
Quranic
from-
version of Alexander was really different, but it basically focuses on Alexander's fight against mythical creatures. We'll get there. It's a bit racist, obviously, because everything is racist. We'll try to present it as a non-racist version, but yeah.
Well, you know, Muhammad Khwarizm Shah,
have you
he
come?
called himself the second Alexander.
The Mongol Khan has captured
Yeah, he was a second, but second Muhammad, not
If
second
your clan
Alexander.
joins me, we can save my
He called. There's a lot of Nadir Shah.
Avenge your
Didn't he
men.
call himself the second Alexander? Too.
I think it's common to call him Napoleon of the Iran.
Napoleon
was-
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
It's obviously
by our
later
own people.
historians called him that, and he was called that because of his genius use of artillery,
protect them.
which we really
I
should
intend
make
to
videos
find
about Nadir Shah. There's
I'm
like
coming with you.
He's
Three
very
major-
Do
interesting.
not
Yeah,
set
three major
aside
battles.
your
Also-
concerns for mine.
He also idolized
Family of
Timur
samurai are
and
my
Genghis
closest-
Khan, and he
closest.
was exactly
I know
as
what it
merciful
means
as
to
you
be
would
the
expect
last
from a
of his
man
clan.
who understood them entirely in the context of
I cannot
destroying
be
cities.
responsible for your death.
yeah.
You won't be.
I guess we should. So on Alexander, I know I call him Alexander the Overrated. It's not that he wasn't important or interesting. It's just that the way people lose their minds over him, I always found a bit much. Like, yeah, obviously tactically, one of the finest generals to ever take the field, and obviously, you know, his descendants ruled the region for a long. I don't know specifically. I guess
Thought men
centuries.
had
I guess I
states.
don't.
They were waiting to finish what
I don't
they
know the
started.
specifics, but like he
United
didn't
my husband and sons
really leave an
to face the
empire
Mongols.
behind or like a
The
unified
Saxons came to
idea.
our
Like
home.
it's just.
My sister
You
took
mean
the
Nadir
children.
or Alexander?
Well,
I stayed
Alexander,
with my
rather.
sons' wives.
And I guess actually
it's-
that's just as applicable to Nadir, I guess.
It's
Except
really-
his successors
And then I was
didn't last
born
very long.
That's how it ended for me.
It's really
for me.
regarding Alexander, the main point of his empire, I guess, for the later historians was Hellenization of the region,
I buried
Yeah.
which obviously continued for centuries afterwards. Not the Hellenization, the fact that Middle East was Hellenized.
Or was it even Hellenized, or just that there was a ruling class who had Hellenistic traits, though?
That's a good question. You never have the answer to that, right? Because the ruling class is also the one who is writing everything, right?
My grandchildren.
Like
we are-
obviously, like it's like the descendants of his generals still ruling these regions,
Just
and so they like Ptolemaic
All I
Egypt
could
is
do was bury her with
one
your
example
mother.
there.
This never should have happened.
And so obviously they trace their
My
lineage
sister
back
should
to
have
his
been
general, and
married with her
there's
husband,
I think they're
in the
speaking
north.
Greek in most of these successors, but
but at least she
it's
had
not
family.
like they sometimes make it sound like just this transformation. Everyone is now Hellenic and speaking Greek and stuff, when it's clearly not that.
Yeah, for instance, you mentioned Ptolemy's. So Ptolemy's, it really shows itself when you read about Cleopatra, and it's like she was the first Ptolemy who learned Egyptian, and because of that, she received Egyptian support, especially from Egyptian priest class
The killers.
and from the commoners, and that helped her in her civil war with her brother,
They will
etc.,
pay
etc.
for what they did.
So from that, I gather that
Killers walk free.
the commoners, most of them, they spoke
blame yourself.
their own language, and there was divide between the commoners and the ruling class, and this divide was kinda covered by the priest class, which spoke both languages. So yeah, it's never possible
to
to
go in.
deduce that. For
Find the
instance, when you read
Mongolian
Roman authors, you read about respect of the elders, acting appropriately, being polite, etc., etc., etc. But you never learn the plebeian way of life, basically, right? You know the patrician way of life. You know how patricians depicted that they acted, but not much else. So Dunstan John is asking again regarding I lost it. Regarding Ogedei Hanait, can you explain really quickly, summarize it?
So I didn't understand the explanation Strand said. So what happened with Mernka, there was, after he became Khan, he found a plot by some members of the Urgadais and the Chagatais to try and kill him. So Mernka led this purge, killed a great number of these princes, took their lands. The Urgadai Khanate was, for about 20 years after that, restricted to a couple small princes who had been too young or had been loyal to Mernka. And one of them was Kaidu. And in about 12... So Kaidu, it seems, supported Erik Burka during his civil war with Kublai, 1260 to 1264. And then essentially after that, Kaidu was independent, but a pretty minor prince. But then over the 1270s, built his influence and took advantage of a civil war in the Chagatai Khanate to exert his authority over that. So from about 1280, give or take, to 1300, 1301, Kaidu is dominating an Urgadai Khanate, restored in sort of Western Mongolia, Eastern Kazakhstan. He's also dominating the Chagatai Khanate, which extends down to the borders of India, and he's waging war with Kublai. And then he makes an attempt to recapture Karakorum briefly. And then there is an invasion by UN forces under, I forget, a grandson of Kublai. Kaidu, it's kind of an inconclusive battle, but Kaidu dies of injuries shortly thereafter. Or might have been injuries, might have just been age. He was like 70 by then.
Lady Masako sent me. Said you were repairing
After
something she wanted
Kaidu
to
dies, he had wanted one of his sons who was decently smart to take over the Khanate. But the Chagatai Khan installed one of Kaidu's idiot sons on the throne, and the idiot son was an idiot and couldn't handle it. And basically, the Chagatai Khan invades, takes over most of the former territory of the Urgadai Khanate, and the Urgadai Khanate, or the final Urgadai Khan, retires to the Yuan dynasty and basically seeks refuge there, but the Khanate ceases to exist approximately 1310, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So.
So Son Wukong, I'm really sorry guys if I butcher your names, it's not deliberate, I'm just, it's me, sorry about that. Son Wukong asks, was there any famous warrior woman during the Mongol invasion? Have you heard about that, Jack?
I have a video on that, actually.
Oh.
If you look on my channel, Jack Meister Mongol History.
You can do.
Yeah, it's called like Mongol Women Warriors. Did they exist? So I talk about the examples I could find. There was one that I forgot to mention, but she was a pretty minor figure. I'm just trying to think of what's a good way to explain it. So the most famous example is Hutulun, and she was actually a daughter of Kaidu, who we were just talking about. And she is recorded as taking part in battles, but not... It's one of those cases where the source says, oh, she's fighting in these battles, but can't actually specify any battles she partook in. She's most famous as the wrestling princess, where she beats all the men in wrestling. But she was a historical person and was considered quite fierce. And so probably fought, but not a lot, and not a frontline troop. Probably the best example we have of just like a regular woman fighting in the army during the sack of Mariga in is today, is that in Iran or Azerbaijan?
That's Iran.
Iran, yeah. In 1221, might have been 1220. So Jev and Subadai, during their pursuit of after the death of Shah Muhammad, spend a year sacking the cities in the Caucasus, and Mariga falls to them. And during the fall of this city, we have a report in the Arabic author Ibn al-Athir, who didn't live in the city, but he lived in
welcome to take refuge here.
Erbil, or no, Mosul in northern Iraq. So pretty close, like close to the region. And he reports of a warrior entering a house, killing everyone, and taking the rest of the people in the house prisoner. And then the person stops to rest, takes their armor off, and the people in the house realize that it was a woman, a Mongolian woman, who'd come in there and killed all of them. And then they ambush her and kill her. We have quite a number of authors remark on the fact that women would also ride horses and shoot bows, because these were considered necessary skills to have as a Mongol, and also the basic building blocks or basic components of all their warfare. So,
you got the armor.
It's definitely possible there were more, because if they're fighting, like just shooting arrows, right, the guys on the other side aren't going to notice if there's women among them. But if there are women warriors amongst the Mongols, it's very rare. And it's important to note, most of our examples of Mongol women taking part in combat, I also list these other ones in my video, they're all upper-class women, like princesses, usually taking revenge for the deaths of their husbands and stuff, and leading in, say, killing the guy who murdered their husband, or leading in sacking a city where her husband died outside of. But there's not really mention of women as frontline troops, though.
Okay, only thing I gathered from that was wrestling.
Yeah. Platoon. Yeah.
Devin, how are you doing?
We're doing something. I was half listening to what was just being said, so I actually didn't hear the game audio this time. We're doing something. We're looking for someone, standing game objective.
So how do you compare it, let's say, to Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
I haven't played Odyssey. I've played Origins.
I think it's comparable, right?
I mean, it's a very similar setup. I'd say it's probably a bit prettier, but the game's very similar. I'm losing
but no towers, right?
We're not synchronizing. Yeah, that's what it's missing. We've got to climb up something and press triangle.
No.
And you can be a bird in Assassin's Creed Origin, which you can't be in this as far as I can tell. So that's going to be a couple of points off. It's now only an 8 out of 10 maximum score.
Hide. I don't think so.
I don't know.
Do you really
Yeah, it seems pretty good.
He's moving again.
Seems pretty good to me. And I'm a professional gamer. Last time we streamed, I thought the game was terrible. This time, I think it's good.
So you don't like Total War series? Nice.
Total War, trash.
That will really help me in my work in future. Thank you, David.
I am actually doing a tailing mission, which is what Assassin's Creed is famous for. Oh, he's actually looking at me right now. And I think I've
2
just failed
weeks,
it.
we'll play a strategy game. It's called Imperium's Greek Wars.
Wasn't that a
It's really
sponsor recently?
Yeah, we decided that we'll do a stream too with them, and we'll have one of the developers on with us. So you will be able to ask questions from a developer.
Okay.
I'll find him.
You will feel like a real gamer.
Damn.
But don't be too real gamer. Don't hate on the developer, please.
But developers suck.
Don't send like death threats.
They
or,
make
I don't
games,
know.
and games make the world worse. Developers must be destroyed.
So yeah, we'll play that in a couple of weeks, and I actually think that we need to wind this one down because I kind of need to work on some videos right now.
Yeah, I might eat food. But this trailing mission is so good.
You sent me to
Is
frighten
it?
the monk.
This is
I
like
knew
the
he would
stereotypical thing you
Make a
shouldn't do. So
mistake.
it's losing a
Now he's
point,
leading us to
losing a game design
Stay
point.
close. You can't be
But
seen.
aside from that, it's had pretty good gameplay.
Following someone is always annoying. Two things: following someone and escort missions.
Yeah,
Oh my
either
God.
following an NPC or trying to get an NPC to follow you is always frustrating. It always breaks the golden rule of like taking the player out of control of what's going to happen.
Did he see us?
He totally could see me. This is really
Somebody's asking if I heard about Yuri. Yuri is
He saw us.
the anime about gay characters, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it yaoi? I'm not sure.
It's both.
Stop asking
It's
this.
one for girls, one for boys.
Yeah, am I correct? One is Yuri, right?
Yuri's the girls one. Yaoi's the
Okay.
boys one.
Okay. I have heard about it, but I am too of a church boy. Not a church boy, but you know what I mean.
I've heard about it. It's all great.
You sent me to frighten the monk.
When will
I
you
knew he would
continue
panic,
your
make a
military
mistake.
orders
He's leading us to his friends.
Crusaders
Stay close.
videos?
We can't
So
be seen.
August von Mackensen, the second and third scripts are done. The thing is, the person who was working on the videos, the animator, he had to take a vacation for summer. He will be back in a couple of weeks, and he will start working on that. So I guess sometime in September, maybe.
Hide.
Did he see us?
Luke Zuzga is
Let's go.
messaging Devin. Devin, you don't like Total War, bro? I only bought Attila because I watched your Roman British series.
We made a big mistake. Well, I only didn't like it because I've played it professionally enough to hate it. Like, I've got like 800 hours until War Attila. And it's too
How
much
much?
of a nightmare.
How many?
Like 800. I could probably find out, actually. I won't, because it'll probably ruin the stream. But yeah. I've got hundreds. I've got like maybe 600 in Rome 2. I've just played it all so much. I can't bear it anymore.
Are you going to play Troy?
Yeah, I played in the preview. I actually thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't
Are
play
you
it for fun, but I'll play it for my channel.
Are you allowed to say that you have played it in preview?
I don't know. Didn't you say you played it in preview in the previous stream?
No, I didn't. You said that.
Let's just say it was me. In that case, I haven't played it and it's bad. I retract everything I said.
Yeah, so look, Devin's storytelling makes every game better, so it's not only Total War games. Every published story that he made the game better, so I see how someone would buy a game after watching his Let's Plays.
That's right. I mean, it's only fair because technically, if you're making a Let's Play, you are profiting from the use of someone else's content. So at the very least, that person should occasionally get some sort of free advertising kickbacks off it.
Yep.
So,
Travis Arnold
sounds good.
says that Jesus Christ died on the cross for gamers' sins, and yes, that's true.
I mean, pretty much. It's hard to argue
Yeah.
against that at this point.
He knew what will happen with the gaming rights. He knew.
He knew. He was the Last of Us, the original.
Jesus is fictional. I don't think he's fictional, but it might be that there was a person who was called Yeshua, and the stories were tacked onto him. But yeah, I think
isn't that the usual? The usual explanation is there probably was some guy because he's like, in the tax records or something, but yeah, there was like hundreds of other people in his position as well. He was the one that
Those men slaughtered my family.
that got big.
rest
He's the
of
one
the
who people decided to pin all the miracles on.
No, 'cause I think they said once, like, if he was just made up, then why would they start him off in some little village in the middle of nowhere, right? They would have just had him born in Jerusalem or something. If he was just made up.
I see. So they were trying to fit an existing story. Like there was a
Just
historical
happened to
aspect. He had to be a carpenter or something to fit. Oh, the game's complaining that I'm not playing it very well. Okay, I'll press different buttons.
Questions. Okay, so I think that we will be winding down,
Yeah,
guys.
you can stop. You can stop in the middle of this fight before I die.
Okay. Guys, we love you for joining in. In 2 weeks we'll be playing Imperium's Great Wars, which is really fun kind of like strategy game, and I think you guys will enjoy it. And then we will have live streams every 2 weeks or so. We'll see how much Devin would like to endure that torture with me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no streamer, but we're streaming anyway. Hopefully people can get something out of it.
My bad jokes, etc. I don't think that Jack will be joining us again because he doesn't like hoplites and he thinks that Alexander is overrated. And I can't
No, I don't think Alexander's real.
Okay,
He was actually a bunch of people later.
I don't think that we can have him on Steam again because it's just bad for my reputation.
Aliens built Alexander the Great.
That explains everything. That's Occam's razor. You don't have to assume Alexander was real with this theory.
Tomorrow at 9 a.m. EST we'll have another video. We love you. Thank you for joining in. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.
Goodbye,
We'll
everyone.
catch you on the next one.
And we'll catch you